All right, it says we're going live, but that always means that we are live. So, welcome everybody to another episode, another edition, another show of the Brandon Bonanza show. I guess that was a little redundant. Anyway, I have a guest again today, which I'm very excited about. He was on the Oversharon show, and you can find him back around at extracts.com. He offers a whole bunch of different products that are awesome that I actually embark in, we'll say, and everything's up there for donation, which I love because I think that's how I run my book. I say it's up for donations and all that, so check it out. Best Earth is one of these products. I'm just killing time before I could find the quote that I want to use. But yeah, there's a lot of great products. I just actually in my tea, allegedly there could be some of his CBD right now. All right, so today's quote is: "The teacher who is indeed wise does not bid you to enter the house of his wisdom, but rather leads you to the threshold of your mind." And that's by Khalil Gibran.
Beautiful.
So anyway, my guest today is James. How you doing, James?
I'm good, Brandon. How are you?
Oh man, I am like, listen, after I I was able to watch. So big shout out to Austin and the MellowDome. That's a show James is a part of. I'll put links to that below, but you could just find it on MellowDome on YouTube for now. And,
and Rockfin.
Other places.
MellowDome
and the old Rockfin.
Yeah,
I'll put the links in. You could even drop a link in the chat if you want while we're talking. Feel free to put whatever you want in there. So yeah, I'm just really excited because I did that last week with Austin, and that went, and it was, you watched it. It was incredible.
Yeah, right? Great show, dude. You guys click really well.
And my friend Joe watched it, who's been on the Oversharon show. Shout out to him because his episode is premiering this Thursday. And he was born in New York, but he moved in New York City, but he moved to Florida or right around where Austin lives now. So they had a lot of synchronicities. He hit him up, and then he watched, that was after he was on, we were on the MellowDome, Sharon and I. And then he watched the episode that I did with him last week, and he hit me up. He left me all these voice messages, and Joe was just like, "This is amazing." He's like, "Everything that Austin said, I was about to say, like, that's what I was thinking." Like we were cool. And I just love the conversation. So I know when he's excited about it, that it's good. And then Austin replayed it, and we had really good feedback in our chat when we did it last week, but Austin replayed it last night in his channel, and there's some people in there chatting, and they're really digging it too. So
I got a couple hundred views right off the rip. It was like,
I'm very excited about that because, I'm so used to just, not recently, but in my life, I'm trying to like share this information with people, and they're just like, "Dude, I'm just trying to get a fucking coffee at Starbucks, or no, whatever it is." Like a lot of people aren't interested in these topics that I'm interested in, even if it's just people I'm working with and I'm talking about like history. Like I'd be like, about the real Civil War, like what really happened? Like people they just don't care, some people do, but like in my everyday life. So now that I could talk about this on a platform like this and people are actually liking it, it's amazing. It's like a dream come true. Even if we only get a couple hundred whatever viewers, I'm excited. Huge. Even if 5 people watched it, I'd be
Wow, that's huge. We used to play shows for a ton of people, and then we'd play shows for 5 people, like at a house party. Sometimes the 5 people are even better.
Yeah, it's like that with comedy, dude. I've done in DJing. I've DJ'd for like, somebody hit me up 2021 to do a holiday party, a Christmas party.
Okay.
For a restaurant, and I
had done Chrissy Marr. Did you keep an eye on her? Did she steal any presents?
She might have. That's funny.
Go on, sorry.
No worries. So they hit me up, and they were like, "Hey, you want to do our holiday party?" And I had done a night before Thanksgiving there, and I don't know about, well, you're from Connecticut, but they're like, the night before Thanksgiving is like a huge night. Sometimes it's bigger than New Year's Eve because a lot of people are home from wherever they go, and they're there for Thanksgiving the night before, and nobody has to work, really. Not many people.
Yeah.
So everyone is just like, it's like amateur night. That's what we call it, right? And they used to call it the Valley New Year. You get that because you Shelton. Anyway, big shout out to Connecticut. So they hit me up, and I figured it was going to be the same thing. So I went down there, and it was just for their employees, and there was like 10 people there maybe.
Oh, wow.
but I DJ'd for them, and I mean they were like dancing and everything all night, and so I was like, all right, in this past weekend I did a wedding Friday for 220 something people. Saturday night, this is the smallest wedding I've ever done, like 36 people, including the bride and groom. And it's crazy. You know what I mean? One night you have like this giant sound system, and then one night you're like, is this too loud? There's only like 30 people in here. But
yeah,
they were loving it. And I got really good compliments after both weddings. You know, people were just like, oh, you were so amazing. And I was like, I just do what I do. But yeah, no, it's I know what you're saying. So same thing with this, you know, I put everything into it. Even when I was doing Brandon Bonanza podcast, it was just audio, I'd get like 10 or 20 listens, maybe a few more, but I was still, because it was just a message and I knew that would always be there. So I was like documenting, because I talked a lot about anti-war stuff, and this might get us into talking about what we were talking about before the show. But I was, and I still am, very anti-war. And I like to say anti-war because it's more of, I don't ever believe that you shouldn't maybe fight a war. Maybe some wars are justified, but I'm anti-war in the sense where I'm only going to be involved in a war if someone's coming here to attack me or us or try to stop my way of life. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm not trying to go to all these, we'll call them banker wars, you know?
Right. And using pro peace, or like, I believe in peace, that can be co-opted too, because then they're like, well, yeah, we do too. Right. We're achieving peace by invading them, taking their shit and giving it to you. Like that's, you know, so yeah, I like that anti-war, you know.
It just means like global homogenization throughout the globe.
Right. That's a good way to put it, bro. Everyone shut the fuck up and do what we say.
Yeah, no, thank you. But yeah, so I know you wanted to ask me, and it's funny because I'm having you on my show, but you have a question for me. That's great. I love being interviewed.
Brandon, well, we were talking about, you know, you mentioned you're in the military and stuff. So I was just curious what your thinking was going in then when you joined, and then, you know, what your thinking was, you know, like halfway through the experience, and then what your thinking would be now, you know, maybe any monumental moments that, you know, arced the story.
Yeah, well, I could tell you exactly what it was like and when it changed, because I remember when it changed. So I grew up, I was born in 1976, back in 1970 something, and I was born on July 2nd, 1976. And the reason I bring this up,
that's when like the New York City blackout was going on, right? Well, you were born right when like a bunch of dudes were looting a fucking Nike's rack in fucking New York City, bro.
I wouldn't doubt it. I have heard a story. I think this was before I was born. Maybe this was the 60s, but there's a bridge in my town because so I live on Long Island Sound. And then on the other side, right, like so on the western side, there's a river called the Housatonic River.
Yeah.
So we're cut off from Fairfield County, but there's a bridge. There's an I-95 bridge, and then there's a like a Route 1 bridge, like a normal road, right?
Yeah.
And it lifts up and stuff for the boats because it's lower. So anyway, I heard a story that there was like riots going on in Bridgeport, and they were in Stratford, and the Hells Angels had to stand on the bridge to keep people like out of Milford.
Damn, I believe it. That makes sense.
I believe it too, because my family was allegedly you know, my uncles were like either Hells Angels or just really good friends. I don't.
Yeah, there's a lot of Hells Angels around there.
Dude.
Yeah, it's an interesting area. But yeah, 76 was like a real bad blackout or whatever. Okay, so you were born in 76.
Yeah, and the reason I bring it up is because I was born two days off of the bicentennial, July 4th, 1776.
Yes. Right.
But now I know, because I'm into numerology, it's the same numerology because it's July 2nd and you get 19, and then July 4 with 1776. So the two's just swapped. So I think that has a lot to do with, because I've always been very, I guess you could say, patriotic when I was younger, and I was always into history. Like we would go to Sturbridge Village, which if you people from not around here, it's this village where you can go and it's set back in like the 1700s, and people are like in costume and they're performing all the stuff, and you can go up and talk to them and ask them questions. I always loved going there.
Yeah, like churning butter and shit, and they got old like gown. Yeah, I went there in elementary school, dude.
Yeah,
true. I remember that.
I used to love to go there, and they had museums in there with all the Revolutionary War stuff and the Civil War stuff. So I was always big into that, and then always big into history. And then I really loved war movies, even from a young age. Like I saw Platoon, I probably was like 10 or whatever, maybe 11. And even before that, I'd watch like the black and white ones. Then I watched Full Metal Jacket when I got a little
Oh yeah.
older. And and my uncle was a Marine. He was he was in between Korea and Vietnam, but he worked on helicopters and he knew how to fly helicopters, and he also spoke fluent French. So he told me this story one day we were in fishing. This is a sidetrack, but I think you'll find this interesting. One day when we were fishing,
yeah,
and I was older, he was like, I started asking about Vietnam because I knew I was like, so what did you do? You weren't like, because I know you went to Vietnam. I remember him saying that, but I was like, I thought you were out of the Marines. And he's like, well, one day I was working for a government contractor with helicopters and I got approached to go to Vietnam, and I was sent with a team of people. And during the day, he would pretend to be a French helicopter pilot. And then at night, he was basically going around doing gigs for some, I don't know what agency or whatever. And he told me that one time he was actually in a firefight with the South Vietnamese police in a warehouse. So it's the people we're supposed to be on there, you know. So anyway, he also told me this thing that blew my mind, which was he would be sitting on rooftops in like Saigon, I think, or somewhere, eating this like 5-star meal, and he could see battles going on in the distance, like on the hills and stuff, way far out, like people killing each other and stuff, you know. Crazy, right? So he also told me that out of 6 or maybe it was 7, maybe 8, something like that, I can't remember, of people that went with him, he was the only one that survived. A lot of these guys were found like killed and very bad, tortured, you know, like it was brutal. So he only talked about that once, and then he said he's like, I can't talk about that anymore. Like he said he started having nightmares, and he wasn't the kind of guy to bullshit you about anything. Like this guy, he was like a hardcore dude, you know. So that really influenced my whole thing, but I still was in the whole frame of mind of USA's or the good guys, you know. I just had this extra set of information. And so after high school, as it was winding up, I realized that because I was always very intelligent, but I just had to apply myself. And I was started getting into partying a little bit, just like drinking a lot and weed and stuff. But I knew if I went to college that because I had to pay for it myself, I knew that I would just be a disaster, because I had a friend a year ahead of me that went to college and he was just partying all the time, you know.
Just racking up debt that you're using for booze on the weekends. Yeah,
because I even went up there on one New Year's Eve to Rhode Island College where he went, and it was just crazy. Like, so I'm like, I can't do this. So I was thinking about the military anyway. I'd been thinking about it for a while because of my whole patriotic thing, and I wanted to work on airplanes. So I was originally going to go in the Air Force, and then the Marine recruiter called me, and I was like, yeah, I want to work on like helicopters and maybe learn how to fly them one day. And so he's like, oh, we have tons of aircraft. And I'm like, really? And I'm like, you can guarantee me a spot? And I was like, dude, I'm sold. Like, he didn't even have to sell me. He just had to let me know. And I was like, because I'm not really, you know, because I told him I'm like really skinny. He's like, no, they're all shapes and sizes. And I found that out too. Like, it's not about like being a tough guy. Because I saw the biggest guy that entered in our, there's like a platoon. And then you have a company, I think, of 8 platoons. I might be getting this wrong. But one guy, and they all go through together. So one, or maybe it's 6, and each platoon has like 70 to 80 guys. So one guy though, and he came in with me, but he ended up in a different platoon. He was jacked and he didn't make it because he just like couldn't take it. Like they fucked with him so hard. And then whereas me, I was told in the beginning, before I went to boot camp, right by a guy that was going in with me from Connecticut, his friend just went through and gave him the lowdown. He's like, listen, they're just going to yell at you and they can't touch you. It's basically like a game that they're playing. He's like, so just play along, be as loud as you can. When they talk to you, just yell back as loud as you can, do whatever you have to do and stay in the middle. They're like, don't be the best or the worst. And in the beginning, since I'm pretty intelligent, I guess they had that in my scores and I was doing really well. So they kind of started to gas me up a little bit and like, oh, you're killing it, you know? And then I saw it like in behind closed doors, they'd have meetings with us and they would tell us like, oh, you're fucking, look at these scores, you're fucking killing it. He's like, what are you, just playing dumb? And he's like, I see you out there. So I start to get a little ego, right? And then I see when you're out in the drill field, they're yelling at you more. So I kind of pulled it back and just stayed in the middle.
Yeah.
And I took everything as a joke. I would laugh, not to them because you can't, but when the drill instructors weren't around, I would just be making comedy all the time. And this one guy, a story of somebody else, he was the tallest guy in the platoon. I was the second tallest.
Nice.
And he would always say, "Oh, you got to take this seriously. You can't joke around." And I'm like, "No, we're just joking around." And he'd try to like give me shit for it, whatever. And then one day he fucking snapped and ran away, tried to run away. And we saw him. He came back. He had like a bathrobe on and he's like shaking. And we're like, "What the fuck?" Yeah, the dude. So I was like, I guess I was right.
Yeah, I guess.
And now I'm the tallest.
Wow.
For you, because we always got to stand at the front, which is great. But so yeah, I had this whole point of view where I kind of thought like the Marines were America's 911 force and we were only doing good, you know, and Saddam Hussein was pure evil and we had to go to Desert Storm because I was in before we invaded Iraq. And 2001. So I get out in 98 and I was kind of over it. I saw how they used people and all this stuff, but I still didn't think they were evil. I was just like, oh, they're just weak or whatever it is, you know, like they just use people and they spit people out and they don't really even care. So I was like, I'm done with this. So
then
9/11 happens. And for like a week, I'm like, let's go get these guys. And I was thinking about re-enlisting and all this stuff. And then like a week later, I'm like, what am I fucking retarded? Like, I don't want to go back to that.
Right.
But I still was like, yeah, we should go to Afghanistan. I'm like, I support that. You know, that's what we were told, right? Osama bin Laden, baby.
I mean, you get your ass kicked in 2001 if you didn't believe it. Like if you were around a couple dudes and you got a little like, I think it's the gut. I think it was us that did. Like people would punch you in the fucking face. People
dude, especially around here because I know people who know people that died, like firefighters and stuff. Because my friend was from Jersey and he used to be a firefighter. So yeah.
Well, we grew up, you and I, Connecticut's so small. We're like, you know, once you get on the train, you're 45 minutes from Grand Central. Like a lot of the people we grew up around and stuff, they would commute to New York and everything. So we had it a little more intense. Same with Sandy Hook. It was, you know, 3 minute. I mean, you know,
Dude, I saw the first responders.
And a Rusty Hook. Yeah.
We were on our way to the casino to play poker because sometimes we'd go up during the day and play all day. You know, it's the life of a DJ. And I remember getting on the highway. I was going to play a tournament. That's what it was. And we get on 95 and all of a sudden there's all these giant like F-250 or F-350 Ford pickup trucks with the tool racks on the back, all blue, and they're all flying. We're like, what the hell's going on? Because we always know if we see those, something's going on. We get to the casino and it's on all the TVs in the poker room are like just playing it. And that, you know, I thought it was all real. I didn't know.
Well, we drove through it every morning because I grew up 3 minutes from that school. And so we would drive right through that town and shit was a ghost town the morning of. So it was always a ghost town. And the diner was always closed. Always. Like
I'll go. Yeah.
No, go ahead. The whole thing was weird, bro. I
hear something crazy.
Yeah.
My girlfriend at the time she's from Brookfield, one town over.
Yeah.
She worked at a daycare for the big government company that was there, whatever it was, the government contractor. She worked at the daycare and she knows one of the kids that was allegedly something happened to. She like was a total wreck and a mess for like, you know, a few days. And because she had him and she has kids now and stuff. And she always loved kids like that. That's why she was in daycare.
Yeah.
And, you know, but it was crazy, dude. So when people start to say it's all one way or it's all the other, I'm like, I don't know what it is. Like maybe this kid's family works for the thing and now he just moved and they said that, you know,
they relocate. That's
what I'm saying.
So
right?
Driving through this town,
but it gets people. That's why I'm trying to tell people.
Yeah.
You can't, the people that are saying it's real, that's why they're saying it, because they have firsthand knowledge of this stuff. You know, it's crazy. That's why I don't even say a word about it, like on the show, whatever. But when people are talking about it in person, I'm just like,
no, especially not in Connecticut, bro. I've gotten yelled at by people I grew up with since I was 5 years old. I know some, and I'm like, okay, let me talk to them. Let me talk to the person. I can never talk to them. But it's just like I'm going off my own like every single thing they had in that town, which was like 2 blocks long. It was like very small, and just it was like never open anything. And we drove through here every single morning. So and like not even cars on the road. There was like an absence in this area. I grew up, I could walk to this school in 10 minutes, dude. So yeah, there's just, and then the dude that wrote a book on it, no internet access, and no one, there's just so many different things about it. But yes, this is how they do it. They sign them up for things like daycare, for this, for that, and they just integrate them into the society a little bit, just a little bit. That's all they have to do. And then, you got people, I know what I saw, I know who I met, I know who I talked to, and then I know when they weren't there, and then I put it together with what the TV showed, and bam, it's real. And it's, it's like, who knows what the fuck is real at this point. However, if you look at the gun control laws, all the crazy shit going on at the same time, the dude laughing before the camera's on, there's a million different things that we should be allowed to question. We should be allowed to question it.
The parent that before he thought the camera's rolling was sitting there laughing, and then they're like, all right, rolling, and he gets into character and starts crying. You're like,
Brandon,
excuse me?
Haven't you heard that people react differently to trauma? Okay, I've known a ton of people that have died. A ton of people that have died. I know a ton of people that know a ton of people that have died. No one acts like that. No one is is camera ready, snap on and off, ready to talk to the camera, just that alone, minus the smiling. No one is ready to be like, oh, okay, it's okay, cut, ready, go, cut. Hi, I'm blah, blah, blah. Like, no, dude, it don't work like that.
You know what this reminds me of? You remember that movie Little Nikita, I think it was called? There's all these movies like in the 80s and 70s about these sleeper cell families, right? They'd move from Russia, immigrate, and then all of a sudden they get the call one day, and they know they got to do it. Like, who knows what they have hanging over these people? Like, I listened to this interview with a guy who got wrapped up with the CIA because he was in the 60s. He was going to some technical or some college, and he was like really smart. He was studying engineering and all this stuff. And so the CIA was putting out this thing, or the FBI or whatever was like, hey, do you want to go to all these meetings and report back to us? So he would go to all the political meetings, right? And it was kind of a joke on campus, and he would just report back. Well, when he was about to graduate, they're like, oh, we like this, you're a genius, you want to come work for us? And he was like, nah, I don't want to. Well, a few months later, an airplane blew up on the flight line where he worked, and then all of a sudden all this evidence got pointed that he did it, and he's sitting in a jail cell because of it. And then they come and say, hey, listen, we know that you didn't do this. If you work for us, we can get you out of it. And then he works for him, ends up in Cuba as a spy working for Castro on weather modification, like making it rain, basically, like cloud seeding. Mm-hmm. And then he gets found out, but they don't kill him. They send him on a plane to like Bolivia, and then to like somewhere in some other communist country. But he ends up knowing a senator on the plane, or some high official, and so he kind of hides in his entourage, and he has to make his way back. And meanwhile, he got married in Cuba with a lady that he loved, and he just got kicked out. So he goes through all this. He gets back to the U.S. finally, and then they arrest him and make him do the rest of the sentence for the plane blowing up. Dude, brutal stuff.
Brutal. Now, Brandon, do you think that can happen to someone who doesn't have, I'm talking spiritually, sinfully, or like, you know what I mean? That doesn't have one foot in that sinful realm. Where like
I don't think so. Yeah. I see this guy as a really good guy, because I watched him be interviewed later, and he seemed like a straight and narrow guy. But I think it's the fact that he was willing to work for the government and report on them, something about that maybe, and this openness. And he was just really naive, right? He wasn't spiritually grown up. He wasn't like an adult inside. So he fell for this whole thing. Whereas I feel like people who are more spiritually in tune, we can move around these, kind of like I stepped out of the way of the new age when I started to get into it. And then I was like, years ago, and I'm like, I don't know. There's something that I just didn't ever, I almost went to like an ashram, not to go away, but or a, like a Buddhist
monastery
thing, to just go to like monthly or like weekly church or whatever it was. And then I just something about it. And then so now I'm like, oh, all right. But it's the same thing, because people, even that people that rely on the government, right? Because if somebody from the CIA came up to us, we'd be like, hey man, you want to be on my podcast? But that's about it, like or I would even have an interesting conversation with him, but I certainly wouldn't accept any employment from him because I understand what the government is. Not that it's there because people need it. I don't feel that I need that, and I don't feel I'm a slave. I feel I'm more of a master internally, just over myself. Now it's a daily battle. No one's perfect, but what I'm saying is like, so I don't have a problem with them. I'd love to have a conversation with him, but I understand what that's all about. So I'm not going to sign any contracts with them or take any money from them. I didn't even they're trying to send me money during COVID, during the shutdown, and I was dead broke, couldn't pay my rent. And my friend calls me because he's an accountant and he's a DJ too. And he's like, oh, I could get you this check. And I'm like, I allegedly haven't paid taxes and what anyway. And he's like, oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I because I'm really cool, but like sometimes like Gandalf the Grey, I'm like, RJ, I'm like, I wouldn't take their fucking money if I had to starve to death. And he's like, all right. Because he's such a cool dude. But sometimes you got to like let him know, because some people are more, they see the money end,
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, dude, I'll live in the woods, But anyway, so because of that, I feel like I was rewarded. Same thing with not covering my smiling face.
100%.
I grew an inch in the past 3 years, at least. I don't know when it happened. I gained another inch, but now I say it's because I never covered my smiling face. So I got an inch out of it.
Bro, I really believe that. I really believe too, man, that we were tested over the last couple of years.
Because I was like, what? This one guy at a store, he was like walking toward me after he was part of this interaction that I had. I was like, had this interaction with a cashier at a grocery store. They never busted my balls there. I'd go, my mom, because she's the same way. She doesn't want to cover her face. So we would go shopping together. Once in a while, the employees would ask us and we just say we had a exemption. They'd be like, okay, cool. Like, cause they're just doing their job and they don't want to be. Most of them are just like, oh, you have an exemption. Awesome. All right. See you later. The magic words. Good. And this one cashier though, I guess there was some new strain going around and there was this cashier and she was younger and very scared. And so she didn't want to ring me up. And I don't know if this is relevant to the story, but she was a bike thief. Maybe there was something going on because I'm a white guy. I don't know because whatever. Anyway, I was like, hey, but she's like, no, you can't, all this stuff. And so I was like, well, you got to call a manager. So they called the manager. And then in the meantime, somebody came over because I was like, I can't hear what you're saying. Because I'm kind of deaf. I was in the Marines working on aircraft. Now I'm a DJ.
You really can't hear people wearing that shit, dude.
Yeah. And they're like, so, anywho, this guy walks over with a mask on. He's just a customer. And he's like, oh, he's like, I'll translate for you if you can't hear what she's saying, like acting like he's a tough guy. And I'm like, dude, I was like, I was in the Marines, I'm a DJ. He's like, oh, you were in the Marines? Prove it. Maybe I told you this story on the other show. No. And I was like, and I just laughed. I was like, dude, and that later I thought about it and I'm like, he just gave me a great joke because most Marines or people who were former Marines, if you say prove it, they might fucking punch you in the face,
Yeah.
They might like yoke you up. They might go bomb your village. You know what I'm saying?
They might take your women. They might.
That's what I'm saying, dude. He's lucky he ran into the chillest Marine ever. You know what I mean? Right. Like, because I'm not a labels guy. So I'm like, whatever. So anyway, he walks away after that. The manager comes up. I do my whole thing. She has to ring me up. She's not happy about it, but I'm just like cheerful the whole time. I was just being cool. And then even she's ringing my stuff up and she's being rough with it. And I'm like, listen, I got to check my eggs. I'm like, I understand you're mad at me, but if we break the eggs, I got to go get new ones, and they're like, just pay for your stuff, and I'm just like, so, and then the guy that said that, he's like, oh, you guys must be Trump supporters. And my mom was like sitting on the other side and no one had any idea she was with me. And she was just like, fuck Trump, like out of nowhere. And I was like, oh yeah, sir, government is slavery. And I was like, do you know if you take the word from Latin government, I explained that to him. And
mind control.
So then he starts walking toward me and I go from being my silly self to I must have just stood up straight and was like, I put my hand out and I'm like, dude, I was like, bro, or dude, I was like, I know there's some crazy stuff going on right now, but just so you know, this is what's happening. There's a guy with his face covered coming at me and I'm going to act accordingly. And he just froze and he just like scurried out of the store. It was so funny. I was like, dude, no, one of us might be armed and I don't think it's you.
This is why you passed the test. This is what we faced every single day. I didn't let Najla go out with the children. We went everywhere together. New York was pretty insane. What's funny about what you just said, I have people that would curse me out and my family while pointing at my children, and for not wearing a mask. And then like one dude was like, Trump 2020 22 or 2024, whatever. So there's people like hardcore Trump supporters too, because he's the godfather of the vaccine. So that hate you for not covering your face. I won in court. I didn't cover my face. Other than the judge, I was the only fucking person not covering my face. And dude, the experience I had in court proved everything to me, that what we're doing is right. Everything. And in terms of like not covering your face in a fucking public courthouse, because then anyone could have said they can go in, blah, blah, blah. We're throwing all the laws out. They literally put pause on the laws, and they have to press play again. And they know that, but they know that they never really got to press pause. It's just the illusion of pause. So I was still in play mode.
Yeah, so, exactly.
You
can't pause me, motherfucker. I ain't got no pause button.
So I destroyed them. I shouted at a judge until my case was dismissed. And man, people in the courtroom, it was special, bro. It was a special experience. And to deal in the face of like pure evil like that. If you saw this dude, if you saw this, bro, the handlebar mustache, almost glasses like mine, but I don't look like this dude. But just pure, oh my God, if they're gonna make a Dennis the Menace movie, and the bad guy was like a pedo, like this would be the fucking dude. And dude, it's just funny what type of people, we're all saying the same shit on different teams. And then the compilations of Andrew Cuomo saying, I wouldn't get it. I wouldn't get that shit that Trump made. I wouldn't get it, in terms of the injections, and then they're all getting it. And it's just so all that social shame, all that shit in public that the South really didn't experience. If you're not in Connecticut or New York or whatever, or Boston, you really don't understand the aggression and the tense. Like people in South Carolina can't believe it when I tell them about it. They're like, what?
The
really?
Vitriol is a very fitting word. People were looking at you. And for me, it's crazy because I'm so used to being the tall guy in the room, and like, I'm 6'5". I'm not like a giant, but I'm a local giant. I'm like a local. I tell people I'm a dwarf giant, and I'm always like smiling and telling jokes, and like I'm always trying to make the cashier feel better.
They fucking hate you for that, bro. Because
dude, and then I force in this situation where it's like people are literally looking at me like I'm Satan. But I had some people come up to me, dude. I had this thing happen. I went to a car auction, and this is when I was helping my friend out with his car dealership. And I told him, I'm like, I'm not going to wear, I'm not wearing a mask. He's like, whatever. And then he sends me to this car auction, and we have to go look at cars outside. So I'm not worried about it. And this is in the spring of 2021. This is like March of 2021, right? So it's been a year, come on. Outside. So I get there and I have to go inside to get like an ID badge. So I go in there and they ask me about the mask, and the guy, and I told them, I have an exemption, it's all legal. So they send this guy over because it's a pretty big, it's not like giant, but it's like, pretty big place. They send this guy over who's like one of the managers or whatever, security, whatever. And he was really cool with me. I told him I was a Marine, or, he's like, all right, cool. He's like, we'll get your ID, whatever. And then somebody comes in after. I'm like standing in the hallway and I'm just having this conversation. And meanwhile, there's a guy there who's they know he doesn't work for them, but he's some car buyer for a big dealership or something. And he has a cowboy hat on, no mask. He's the only other one. So we're talking. And then this lady comes down and is like, all right, you have to wear a mask. And then I went through the thing and I'm like, listen, I'm just going to be outside. And she's like, no, you have to wear a mask outside while you're looking at cars. And I was like, what? And I was like, no, I have it, and she's like, all right, you have to leave. And I was like, I'm not leaving. I'm like, I'm here, I go, well, I didn't say I'm not leaving. I'm like, let me talk to the owner. Let me talk to your boss or whatever.
Yeah. Always.
So finally, she goes upstairs and I'm there for like a good 25 minutes. This is, taking a while. I'm just briefly going through it. And this guy comes down, this freaking little grabbler, and he's like, he's just yelling. He's screaming. It was so funny. And I'm laughing at him. I'm just like, dude. And I was like, all right, fine, I'll leave. This isn't, if it was my business, if the car dealership I was up there representing was mine, it'd be different. Right. But I was like, whatever. And then, so I find out the guy gets kicked out of the auction. The guy who I was helping out, like he gets banned from the auction.
Oh no.
All this shit happens. And I go, dude, I did you a favor because they had shitty cars there. Every time you went there and got a car, there was always an issue. So I'm like, I did you a favor. And I'm like, and I told you what was going to happen. Like, yeah, it was so funny. Cause he's kind of, I love the guy, but he's, you know, he's known, I'll just say he's known for being shady by some people, although he's a good guy and he has a good heart.
Yeah.
But he'll, you know, he'll run a scam, or maybe he used to, I don't know. But anyway, so it's not like you get it.
I get it.
You get it. So it was an interesting thing though, but just another experience of me like, no, dude, I'm just not going to know. Like,
yeah, I had Stu. I can't tell you how many, you know, and I, man, like people refusing to sell me milk with a baby in my arms. Like, you know, it's just, man. And one night I cursed at this employee while, you know, because I just needed milk, dude. I just needed milk. And everyone in the store, there was like 20 people in this small store. Everyone just put their head down. Not one person looked up, looked at me, and like, and we were both going at it. And so like the fact that everyone is just like with their mask on, just like just looking down, I was like, all you people are just so shameful, dude. Just so shameful. If they were doing something that was actually right, they would have stood up and said, "Do not talk to her like that. Don't talk to the cashier like blah blah blah." They didn't do that. And
dude. Wow, I didn't even think about that. You're totally right. They were just, you were a male kind of getting loud with a female. So if in their world everything was right, you'd be an asshole to be stopped. Like, you know, stop this guy. I've done that before.
I was almost testing them, you know,
but I was at a Burger King when I used to eat that shit back in the car day when I was in the car business full time. Like, and I was in there and some lady in front of me was like flipping out on the employees there for something stupid. And I was just like, what the hell's your problem, lady? I just like shut her down and yelled at her. And I covered my shirt, you know, because it had the logo where I worked. And he walks out and they just gave me my food for free. They're like, dude, you're awesome. They're like, we wish we could say that. Bro, I was like, lady, they have to, you know, it's like they're not loving the life here, you know, what the fuck? Like,
that's funny. You remind me of a story. I was walking down the streets in Albany, New York. I don't know, it was probably like 6 years ago or something. And this drunk dude, you know, semi-drunk dude was getting kicked out of a bar, right? And they were being very nice about it. They're like, sir, you need to leave. Like, just, you've had enough. It's time to go. And so then he started, and so he was like staggering out the door, but trying to get back in. And I was just walking by, and so I picked up on the situation, and this dude just starts shouting and announcing to everyone, they're racist, they're sexist, they're all these buzzwords, you know. And this is right around 2016, you know, everything's just heating up. Dude, I just took this dude by the collar, and I just, like a child, I just walked him out of the bar, and I just said, get the fuck out of here. And he just walked down the street, and the bartenders and shit were like, thank you, because they couldn't touch him, you know. So I just pulled the back of his shirt up and just walked him out. And I just, like, you got to do that. You got to treat people like animals sometimes. But I haven't had to do that for years. But
dude, up here they fucking punch you in the face. It's great.
My energy was so on fire.
No, I'm saying the bouncers would punch him in the face is what I mean.
Oh, you know, would they still do that?
Maybe not today, but up until 2017 when I was doing it, man, I saw some crazy stuff. One time a guy cocked back to hit one of the bouncers. I'd ran over there when it was the night I was DJing, and the bouncer got kind of stuck by himself. So I ran over there because it was really close, and I saw him cock back, and then out of nowhere I see this blur, and this guy tackled the guy that was about to punch my friend, and then I saw it was one of the cops that I know, but he used to hang out there just playing
undercover.
Clothes.
Right.
And he was just out having fun. He was probably drinking. And I said to the guy, he was trying to fight. I go, that's a cop, dude. I'm like, don't hit him. You're gonna have a bad time if you hit him, bro. And he's just like, all right.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, because I don't know if they do it anymore, but like my brother, they'll like beat the shit out of you. They don't give a shit, you know, like,
bro, man.
And then they just let you go. You know, it's like, fuck.
They will do that, or they'll break your shit. They'll just smash all your shit and say, get on your way. I'm like, dude, you just like
disrespect,
smash glass in the road. Milford cops are great. I don't know. I've never been in trouble from Milford cops. So yeah, y'all are great.
It used to be a lot worse when I was younger, but they're really cool now. Like, I'm friends with some of them, and like I more see their point of view because like people are just stupid, you know, like, and they're just doing dumb shit.
Yeah.
It's different when you're pulling people over and you're collecting, like, you know, but when at the bars, like, people are just drunk and just dumb.
Milford's bigger, more city-ish and stuff. But Shelton, they literally have nothing to do. They're literally crying. They're waiting. If someone gets pulled over, there's 18 cop cars. Oh, he's got a flat tire. What do we got to see what's going on? There's probably drugs in the tire. Blah blah blah. Like and man, I got arrested when I was like 16 for a pipe that they illegally searched my car for. They were just pulling handles in the parking lot. And dude, they handcuffed me to a desk and just threw random shit at me while they called me like every name in the book. Like, and some people would be like, oh yeah, they wanted to scare you from doing it again. Like, well, that's like the dumbest shit in the world. If you know how like children are or teenagers, like that's not gonna like deter someone from not doing what they're telling you to do. I remember I was 16 telling them, it's a plant. Y'all are saying that something that naturally grows out of the ground is illegal. Y'all are illegal. Like I was saying that at 16, and that was the moment when I realized doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. If they're gonna fuck with you, they're gonna fuck with you. So you know, try to do things properly. Don't just keep your car unlocked with a fucking bowl in there. Like, you know.
So. And if you have to interact with them, be the next level up. Don't stoop to that or what they're used to. Talk to them like they're a real person. Try to find common ground, joke around with them, you know, just show them that you're not the scum that they have to fucking deal with every day. Just be like, I'm different, man. I look maybe like it, you might think, but guess what, bro? Like, I was in the Marines, or I just wrote a book. I'm writing a book. Like, I heard my friend Joe put out an episode recently of his show, Contemplations of Spirit, and I was listening to it, and he took some audio from David R. Hawkins, and David R. Hawkins was saying, you know, first you got to learn how to be, and then what you're doing. And he's like, if anyone ever asks you, he just is like, tell him you're writing a book. He's like, like that works from Washington, D.C. to like India. He's like, just tell him you're writing a book.
Yeah, dude, you're so right. Most people never read a book. And if they hear that, they're like, oh, that dude's legit. Fuck.
They at least know you can write about them too, maybe the police. You're like, all right, well, but yeah, no, I hear you, man.
And that you're not a victim. I was with this one dude, guy got arrested. He started crying his eyes out. And so I became the coolest dude in the world to the cops. They're like, psh, look at your friend here. Stop crying like a little bitch. Look at your friend. Be like your friend. I remember that was, man, I felt so bad for my friend.
They see that you're like a real dude either way.
Yeah.
Fuck. But so to bring this back to me, of course, when I was in the Marines, I got out 9/11, and then in 2003, when they started to ramp up to go to war with Iraq, I was like, whoa. I'm like, Saddam Hussein had nothing to do with this, you know. And then I started looking into some of the stuff where there was probably no weapons of mass destruction. I started to get into that, and I was so against it. And I remember watching on TV when they invaded Iraq, and my heart just like sank. Like, I was like, this is not cool. You know, usually when I would see an invasion, I'd be excited. I'm like, this is not right. Like, something's wrong. And it kind of was like the beginning crack to all of this being a lie. So then I got into some conspiracy stuff, and I found out different things about like bankers and all this stuff, and all these wars, and how they're all bullshit, and all the families are related to like royalty and all this crazy stuff. And then I watched Zeitgeist, and I found out about 7-Eleven and all this stuff. So after that, I became more of, I guess, like a libertarian in a sense, and I was more against all these wars. And then I started my blog in 2013, funnily enough. So I started doing the blog in early 2013, then I started doing comedy in I know I can't think of the date. September, there it is. I could picture it. I know it was September of 2013 is the first time I got on stage, mid-September. And so after all that,
I think I was in jail in September 2013.
How long were you in for?
Oh, not long at all. Not long at all.
No, like 10 years, you know.
No, it was like a month.
Oh, nice. That's enough to get an idea of it. My brother did
it's enough.
A year, 2 separate times.
Yeah, my brother too, bro. They probably bunkmates or some shit. My brother was, he like lives there. I think he's out now, but sorry, go on.
No, I know a lot of people have been in and out of jail. I'm telling you, like, my whole life I've known people, just because my proximity with my family to certain things. I mean, my family's not involved in anything, but like my uncles and stuff. Like, one of my uncles was shot and killed. I'll just say it that way. Like, nobody knows. That's all the story ever got. He got shot and killed. What? Nothing. And and the other one died in a car accident, but he was a giant, like tall like me, but my middle brother, because I'm the oldest, my middle brother's same thing. He's like 6'2", 6'3", but he's a monster, you know. Same thing with this uncle. And so the rumor was he hung out with the Hells Angels. And I know, if I could say as above, so below, like I know my brothers never really lost a fight once they got older. Like there was this guy who's always rumored to be this like martial arts, wrestling, jujitsu, like you never want to fuck with him. My friend I used to hang out would always tell me that. Well, I found out later my brother got into a fight with him in a parking lot, and the dude, it was like kind of like a stalemate. Then my brother kind of like kicked his ass, but they decided to get in a car together to drive somewhere to finish the fight.
What? There's some dedicated.
And then
fighters.
After that, he wanted to train my brother. It was so funny. So he's a freaking animal. So if he was like that, I would imagine my uncle, I think was even bigger, was probably had the same kind of gene, you know?
Wow.
But he allegedly rolled with the Hells Angels. So that's how all this crazy stuff. But anywho,
and then you got drug dealing. You got all different types of things that some Hells Angels are cool with, some aren't. And then they, you know, it's.
Did I ever tell you my mom got a hit put out on her? I said
no. I would remember that shit. Tell me about that.
So she was working at a bar, and because of so she was working at this bar, she'd worked during the day, and this guy would come in there and hang out, and I guess his dad was connected to the mafia or whatever, local, whatever, allegedly. Who knows, right? This is comedy, everybody. We're just making up a story.
Oh, by the way, real quick, Nigel said it probably opening for Norma Jean. I used to play shows around the same venues and times Norma Jean was playing. They were like a hardcore band. It's just cool to see.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's just cool to see that.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, what a synchronicity. That name sounds really familiar. I probably heard it.
Well, that's Marilyn Monroe's real name.
Oh, yeah. But
that might be why. But you remember it as a band? You might, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I think I do remember it as a band. And now that you said that, I remember that connection out, because I was probably like, oh, that's why they have that name. Yeah. Do you ever go play at Toad's?
Oh, yeah. I played Toad's Place, bro. I played there a few times.
I love Toad's, dude.
I'll send you a video of me playing there when I was younger.
I can make a movie about Toad's 05, baby. It'd be like
06, 05 and 06 for me, bro.
Yeah. I actually saw House of Pain there in 1992 or 3.
Really?
Whenever Jump Around was big.
Oh, yeah.
It was nuts, dude. Yeah, Everlast.
I'm going to send you one of the videos of me playing in a band that I was in at Toad's. Yeah, dude. I got to find it.
Toad's was the she, isn't it yet?
It was a great time.
So, back to, let's see, what was I talking about? I was talking about the Iraq War, and then getting onto all this truth, and then later starting my blog. The Hells Angels. Oh, yeah, the story of my mom. That's what it was.
Yes.
Well, how could I forget that?
Right.
So she's working at a bar, and this guy hangs out there. And then one day, allegedly, he had all this coke out. And Marky Rizzo, no, unfortunately, I'm not going to Flattoberfest. I have to work. Well, fortunately, that I get to, But next year will be different.
I don't know if they're doing it next year, but we'll figure it out.
I'm definitely going to be in South Carolina, though. I could see that going on. So we'll see.
Cool.
Maybe we can get a live show going, A live MellowDome with Brandon.
Oh, that'd be great. We could do it at my house, bro.
No, I mean like at a venue.
Oh, that would be dope, man. That would be great.
I mean, I don't know. Love that. Because I've actually, I was telling Austin about this. I've done that before. I've done I did a lot of open mics, and I ran my own open mics, and I've done live podcasts in front of audiences.
How was that? I used to like Smodcast and all that. The Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes used to do Jay and Silent Bob Get Old. They used to do that live in front of people. I like that.
It's really cool because you get the feedback from the crowd. Then you can have some people come up. I did at a comedy club on stage where we had guests doing stand-up, because the guy I did the show with, Pat, he wrote a book about stand-up comedy, about like how you get started, kind of like all this stuff that they don't tell you, all the secret, like all
the good shit.
All the good stuff about open mics and the etiquette and how you should act and what's going to happen, So anywho, he did a show where he would have people come on, and I think he would like critique their stand-up or something like that, give them ideas. And it was super interesting. So I really love it. But
Bro,
yeah, maybe
I used to stay home from school. I used to pretend to be sick so I could watch, because Comedy Central would play all day stand up, premium blend, one after another. Bro, I used to stay home just so I could watch this shit. So I've never done it, and I'm not, that's not what I am. But man, I love it. Like Jim.
Oh, dude, I could see you on stage. Are you kidding me? You already have a character. You're just yourself. You don't even have to like. All you gotta do is get comfortable on stage and get to know your voice, and then you could just, dude. Yeah. I'm telling you, I've seen, like I said to Austin, I've seen way less funny people on stages. So
than the people on fucking Comedy Central right now, dude. You're right. This is time to strike if you're gonna get into it.
Yes, dude. This is the time to strike. That's why I've already been writing new comedy. You want to hear one of my jokes? You might have heard already. I don't know if I could. This would work quite on stage, but I sent this in a letter to Owen that he should have gotten already, but I checked the tracking because it was priority. So it's gonna come today. Came today, so because he didn't get any mail today. But that's fine. I think it works out better. Everything's perfect, everybody.
Everything happens when it should.
I wrote this. I'll give you guys a spoiler alert. I was like, I found throughout life that the journey for truth is really one from A to Z. And a lot of people get stuck on the J's.
That was great, bro.
Yeah.
That was a
Jay-Z.
good one.
But anyway, so.
From J to Z. Dude, that was good.
From J to Z. I have other ones where I'm gonna say the V word, the experimental medical serum. I have a way to say that because I'm gonna be like, guys, words are spells. Like there's words that I could say that will make everybody in here feel a certain way. We all know there's one word I'm not supposed to say, right? There's this word that because of classes and all this stuff, if I say it, everyone is gonna feel a certain way. Some people might get mad. Some people might even want to fight me. You know what that word is? Vaccine. And I'm going to say it like that because and I'm going to be like, oh, you thought I was going to say nigger, didn't you? But so, and then I'll just be like, all right, next subject. I'll be like, because if I said that other word, one guy might fight me. But if we keep talking about this word vaccine, everyone in here is going to get in a fight. We can't have that. It's a comedy show. Let's move on. There's other stuff. And then I'll be like, there's other things I could say that will also elicit a certain feeling in you. And you're definitely going to feel something strong. And I'm going to be like, flat earth.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to say, yeah, that makes you feel weird, right? But I think that, I'm going to be like, listen, I think everybody's crazy. Flat earthers, round earthers. I'm like, I'm a realm earther. And I'm kind of going to explain it a little bit. And I got to punch it up and make jokes for it. But I think there's a lot of territory there because people, you
could also do one split right down the middle. You could be like homosexual and then wait for like a slight reaction and then say agenda.
Yeah, dude.
You get a lot of
gay or something or sodomite or and I'm like, I'm just saying words, guys. Like this isn't my point of view. I'm just saying words because I'm trying to prove a point that words can control you. And I'm like,
yes, dude.
Don't you think there's people that know this? Don't you think they're just trying to divide you because like the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees, like, come on.
Yes, and that's when you drop the Latin government.
Yeah, dude.
That's when you drop that. Yeah, and don't even like try to connect what you're just plant the seeds like that, Be like, well, let's take a look at another word, and then just say, let's see what this root means, and then just tell them and then be like, that's interesting, and then move the fuck on.
Oh, one is that would tie into the one perfectly because I want to be like, there's another word, slavery. I go, I bet all you guys are thinking of antebellum slavery with whips and chains, right? Well, let me tell you something. There's another kind of slavery you're not even thinking about, debt slavery. What? And then, or not even say that, just say
cubicles,
mind slavery. And they'd be like, what? And I'll be like, mind control. And I'll be like, oh, I sound crazy, don't I? Well, let's take this word government and we'll break it down its Latin roots. Gubernar is from Latin. It means to control. Mentes means mind. Government means mind control. All right. Anyway, let's talk about
words are
else.
silly. I love it, dude. You got a premise.
That's the kind of slavery I'm talking about.
Yeah, good shit. That effective slavery.
The one they want you to focus on the other one because they want you to forget about the one that's happening now. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, dude, it's a lot easier to work when the chains are illusionary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paint your chains gold, motherfucker.
Oh my God, you're so right. Dude, that's what happened. oh my God, that's so funny, bro. You got like black dudes in the early 90s walking around with gold chains, but now they're gold. So it's okay. It's fine now.
Yeah. Well, people, they like the chains are really tied to their victim, whatever it is, like whatever class of people. A lot of times their chains, whatever, like you guys do that show, Breaking the Chains. That chain is what's keeping them in victim, and victim is often what people get attention from and stuff like that. So they're painting their chains gold. They're like, look at this, you know, what am I gonna
do? Yes.
It's crazy. And then literally wearing gold chains is just a way to be like, they're painting their chains gold, look, they're doing it, you know. But it's also very smart to carry gold on you if you know, I'm not knocking it, I'm just saying.
Right. The reason for it was much, you know, they didn't
you
have
never know when you might need some gold, you know.
You never know.
So that's about where my focus shifted. And then I started that blog in 2013, and I started that because of what we were talking about earlier, the Handy Sook incident, because I saw all the, like you were saying, the legislation and the gun control stuff coming in. So I started that blog to write on it, and I just wrote about sensible things. I'm like, listen, doesn't this make sense? Like, can't, you know, like, come on, I'm not up here yelling, you know, and I was like, it's not like I'm an NRA salesman. I'm just trying to tell you, don't you think this makes sense? Stuff like that. And then I wrote about all kinds of stuff. And then as my journey progressed into spirituality, I started writing more about those topics and stuff. And it was really simple stuff. It wasn't like woo-woo. It was just more like, you know, if you can cultivate your intuition, listen to that feeling on the inside instead of these exterior sources, or that one in your head that keeps telling you, oh, don't try stand up, you're going to suck. They're all going to laugh at you, but not in a good way, you know, like or whatever it is that eats at you. You got to, you know, once you learn to, it's really just about overcoming that voice and listening to the feeling inside, because we're always taught to accept a message like telepathy. We always picture like, I'm just like, James, go get me some water, and you can hear that. But no, I think telepathy is people picking up on the same vibration or feeling. And it happened to me in Austin twice when we were doing that show. It was crazy. He was talking and I was like, we should go here. And he's like, let's go here. And I'm like, fucking damn, dude. But I think we could get that from that's part of our intuition. It's just our intuition kind of speaking to each other, or maybe we're just on the same vibration, however you want to explain it. But if you can learn to cultivate that voice, that's really when you start to move up. And it's funny because sometimes you think you want to do something, and then there's this thing that just keeps you from doing it, and then you don't, and then you just do something else, or you wait. Like for me, I wasn't really podcasting a lot in 2021. I was doing up until we started doing Oversharing, but I was doing my Terrible show, Tarotbull.com, TAROTBULL.com. That was really cool. But for a while I wasn't doing anything, and I felt like I wanted to do something, and I felt kind of like, not like a failure, but like, I should be doing this, but it was all for a reason. Then I got together with Sharon, and I spent that time, instead of making shows, I spent it doing research and working on myself and just studying all kinds of things. So it just made it even better when I started to finally record again. And then I was doing it with Sharon for just about a year now. We've been doing it. And then I decided to resurrect my show, because I would randomly do it. But now I'm like, I have access to all these great people. And like even Rodney Norman, I mean, obviously yourself, Austin, I'm having, I had Woodshop Bear on, I'm having Hobbit Bear on next week. So, I mean, tomorrow, next week, I'm shot. So tomorrow, everybody, check me out. I'm going to be same time, same bat channel. We're going to have Hobbit Bear on, which is really interesting because has a couple different albums that he's made. He makes music and everything. So I can't wait to talk about that. But and I'm having Berserker Bear on next week.
Oh, great.
Bushwhacking history in Buffalo. Yeah, he's going to come on. I'm really excited because I love history and I love the stuff that they're uncovering. So anyway, I started doing the show again, and I realized I needed that time off, and it's like been benefiting me. So now I trust my intuition more. You know what I mean? Like there was something keeping me from recording. I can't explain it.
It's like an incubation period.
I didn't feel like it. I was just like, I don't know.
Yeah. You know? And that's good. You should follow those, I think.
Yeah. But now I'm like, let's do it. Yeah.
It's time now, dude.
Yeah, it totally is time. And it's so amazing. Like the feedback I've been getting, the crossover, your guys' audience is really good. I'm getting some crossover with everybody that we do, and we're just finding people in unique ways that really resonate with our message, especially the Oversharing show. I mean, that show is just,
oh yeah, that's a great show.
That's why I feel like I'm speaking truth when I say it's the best darn show on the internet. Like, I really feel we're up there, like, not to be cocky,
no,
just
dude,
because neither of us really make claims or always trying to just look at different sides. And, you know, it's
y'all
crazy.
are a great balance, and y'all are a great middle ground. Like, I think a lot of people, and there's no, like you said, yeah, there's not a lot of claims made, you know, and it's more just kind of being analytical about ideas, man. And that's refreshing. That's refreshing because it is kind of like the MellowDome. Like, we're not trying to be a camp for this or a camp for that, which is now pointed against this camp. We're not trying to be like that. We're trying to just have a good time and know that, you know, we need to be working together as best as possible and not attacking each other. I see smaller channels attack other small channels and calling them out as not being this and not being that. And, you know, you're evil because you didn't say this the right way. Like, you know, we're all just trying to pay our bills. You know, we're all just trying to you know, share ideas, man. And, you know, so I think we should all, you know, I am just trying to be open-minded to things and without losing the ring of truth, the ability to discern the ring of truth, you know, and that's the reason why we all got into this, you know, to find our tribe, to find people that also see the nonsense going on. So I really appreciate what you guys are doing for sure. And awesome, Austin, what he does, man, you guys have a similar mindset about things. That's probably why y'all had such a great show together. Austin is such a good dude and he's a family man and just a really good dude that wants good things for his family and for the world without it being at the expense of anyone else. So it's cool, man. It's cool. And he doesn't compromise. He could have 1 million more viewers and subscribers if he did choose a camp. You too. If y'all start choosing camps, yes, it will get shittier, but you will get subscribers. So it's like it shows you where your priorities are, you know.
I think I would probably be more capable of doing it, even though I wouldn't. It would disgust me. But Sharon, there's no way. Like, she's like a truth pointing out machine. Like,
Najla is like that too. Yeah.
She will tell you how it is. And I love it because formerly, and I've talked about this before.
I like that too.
Yeah. Earlier though, in my life, it probably would have annoyed me.
It did at first. When I first met Najla, dude, she would point shit out to me that I needed to work. I'm like, how fucking dare you like be that blunt to me? And now I'm very grateful, dude. I'm so grateful that I had that. Most people don't have that, or they do, but they say fuck you and move past it because they don't see the value in it. I always saw the value, but I wasn't used to it, you know. But yeah, now, man, dude, yeah, if you have a person like that in your life, and we're all grateful because we all have Sharon, you know, because she's streaming to us. But yeah, man, try to hone those skills, hold on to people, take a note from people like that can just call shit.
Yeah. And she remembers a lot of different information. She's similar to me. That's why I think I'm good at poker, because I can point out inconsistencies in someone's behavior really well.
Yes,
or
me too, bro.
Ideas. Yeah. You know, I'm like, wait a minute, something's fishy here. It's not adding up. So she's the same way. And a lot of times we'll come across different people, like Owen's stuff. We love Owen. Then we also really like the Law of One stuff. And then we also like Jason Brashear's from Archaics. And then they'll say things differently, right? And tell you how it is differently. So she comes to me with that. And then I could kind of take the allegory and explain that, you know, there's a way that this all works out. It's just people in a dark room feeling an elephant describing something.
Yeah,
they're all right.
Yeah.
It's just, if we could just let go of little things like, what realm are we in? Or we're in a globe earth or a flat earth, and then we just yell at each other. It's like, no, that doesn't matter, dude. Like, I don't care if you think we're on a spinning ball. Good for you. I get it why you think that. It's very, there's a lot of money spent to make you think that. So I get it. And there's a lot of shame behind it if you don't believe it in the society. So even if you have an idea, but you're like, you know what, I'm not going there. I can't handle that fucking shame. I fucking get it. But see, I'm one of these people that shame doesn't bother me. You know, like, I get on stage and bomb and I'm happy about it sometimes. Like, I don't do it to do it on purpose, but sometimes you bomb.
You learn from it.
And I was saying this the other night, like I have this joke that I do. I think I was telling Austin. Yeah, it was like when I'm on stage and I'm bombing, I'm always like if the joke bombs or whatever, I'll just be like, oh, my friends, they always ask me what it's like to do comedy. And they're always like, what's it like to bomb? I go, it's like this right now. It's just like this. And it always gets a laugh out of people. I'm like, all right, cool. They at least get it.
That's
like,
funny.
I'm funny, but I'm not always funny. To me, it's hilarious, which is even funnier when I say something and people grunt or don't laugh. Cause I'm like, oh man, I just fucking piss all these people off. That's
like the
hilarious.
whole situation is immediately funny to you in your head. Yeah.
Yeah. So either way, I benefit. You might not be able to become a famous comedian that way, but who cares? Like
Fuck
it's
it.
fun.
I'm not trying to become Pfizer, but shit. Like I like what I'm accomplishing,
I'm very niche. You know what I mean? That's what we say about the Oversharing show. We're the niche of the niche. And the other thing that
underground.
I really love about our shows. Yeah, totally underground. And the other thing that I love about our show is we keep it underground because if somebody was to watch it and watch the beginning, we pull a tarot card, we read a quote, we have funny, silly banter. And the way it is, some people find it boring. So it's our defense mechanism where they just turn it off before we get to the juicy gravy.
Yeah.
They just kind of weed themselves out, but they're not like, oh, these people are retarded or they don't want to report us or anything because they're like, oh, they're just silly.
They just keep it moving. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't want to invest the time. So I think it works out really well that way. And that's also a point I wanted to make before about Realm Earth is people have that same feeling about you. Like, so if you tell somebody you're a flat earther, they're going to be like, oh, you're an idiot. And they want to argue with you. But if you tell someone you're a Realm Earther, just like, oh, this guy's silly or crazy, or he's just really spiritual, we'll just let it go. And I could joke about it, but I could still say flat earth to elicit that that it's rising. Like everybody heard of it. So if you could do a joke about it, it's going to be great because it's very relevant and it's underground relevant too, Anyway.
Yeah, totally, bro.
I'm giving away all my secrets here on the Brandon Bonanza show. No one steal my joke ideas or just collaborate with me. Or if you steal it, make it work. That's all I say. What's up, Quentin?
You could also say, you could get everyone by saying, I more believe in snow globe earth because the globe people will hear globe. Flat earth people will picture a snow globe. They'll be like, okay, all right.
Yeah, I like that,
But realm earth, that's the way to go, bro. That's my favorite too. That's my favorite because that's the most true, it seems. Yes, this is a physical realm, but way more than that. Way more.
I'm happy because I can actually debate my point with very smart people because what I'll say to them is even like a high Catholic or whoever somebody is, I just say, listen, you believe in like the materialistic takeover, right? In the late 1800s, all these people started spinning this materialistic bullshit. Well, guess what? The idea of where you think you exist is a material one. I, from my point of view, think you're a materialist. I'm not trying to insult
you. Shit, bro. Yeah, go on.
That's all I'd say to him. Aren't you being a materialist? If you zoom in on your hand, what is it?
Right. It's you're just quantifying energy. Every little thing.
We're just energy, man. We're not, so in one point of view, yes, there's a physical realm we can interact with it. But on another one, it ain't, motherfucker. Like
metaphysical, yeah, dude. That's a great way to put it. The materialist aspect, accusing them of that, because then they won't feel enlightened and left wing and spiritual. So
yeah, and then I'll just say materialism is it's an ideology of a slave. If you can get somebody in a materialistic mindset, no matter how you do it, no matter what sneaky way you do it, even if they meditate all day and all this stuff, but they still believe within a round ball, like. You still got them in some kind of, wrong.
That's great. Yeah. That's great, bro. Yeah, it's like a hidden subconscious
checkmate
steering belief, dude.
Yeah. Checkmate. Yeah, see, I look silly, but let me tell you.
It's funny you said that. I call Witsit in the chat. Witsit gets it. Who's like, the best like flat earther dude, in terms of like his debate skills and his knowledge and all that. And so I was like, he gets so many trolls. And I'm like, dude, they're just mad they don't have the Witsit chess piece on their team. And I truly believe we're all chess piece. We're all some type of chess piece for something or someone. He don't like compliment. I think I weirded him the fuck out. I think he got real awkward about it. But I was just saying that we're all like, we're all a playing piece for either the creator or what he gives you over to. If you consensually start, messing with things that you shouldn't, or, just, you get given over to your desires or whatever it's called. So, I believe that. I believe that the retrobate mind, there's a many different ways to say this, but who's your master, So I like my master to be my maker, you know?
Yeah, dude, 100%.
And if you have, like you said, materialistic like vices, that's your master, you know?
Yeah, and another way to look at that internally is, who's the internal master? Are you your own internal master, and you have like internal slavery over those aspects of yourself, meaning you have them in control, and then exteriorly you're a free man, and then also your God, your servant, the one that you fear, is God or the all or whatever, the creator. Yeah, exactly.
Yo, I like that you said that too. Cause yeah, you totally get that. Like it's a fear as in like you fear your dad, you know, if you have a great dad, right? But you still fear, like if you misbehave, he should have disciplined you. And yeah, I mean, but you should know the cause and effect, and you should have a healthy level of fear slash respect for your father. Or as a child, you'll try to run shit, and you'll, you know, be touching stoves while they're on and stuff, like, and burning your hand off, and like, you know,
I just thought of something that popped in my mind. I can't wait to say this to Sharon. It's like, when they say fear God only, some people will be like, well, what if you're somebody who's like, I don't believe in any fears, like, fear is the limitation. What I would say is, it's more like fear nature, as in respect it. Like, you're not just going to walk into a mountain in a t-shirt unless you're Wim Hof, and expect to live, right? So you're going to have that respect. And of course, that word is the same kind of thing, because if you're not respecting it, if you are respecting it, it's kind of like you have a fear of it in a sense. It's these words are just so graveled.
Yes, dude. It really is. And it's
but like, I know what you're saying. It's more like fear the consequences if you don't live in accordance with nature or with God or with the golden rule, or
while accepting that they're like understandable consequences and they're deserving of it. You didn't create this realm, someone else did. So in that whatever, the creator, they did implement rules. You didn't. So
I love how we're breaking these ideas down, because this is stuff that heathens and Christians and Muslims can all understand. Yes. That's what I like to do. I like to talk in a common term. It doesn't matter the what's the word I'm looking for, like tokens, or I'll think of the word talisman that we use, or the names or the symbols. It's all about the system of your behavior and how you're going to treat other people. And if we can all agree on that, fucking dude, we can chill, then we could just kind of joke around about the other stuff or debate it healthily if you really want to. But if we're under this thing, then we're under the same flag, basically. Like, you're on my side, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's not, the hour's getting late, let's not tittle and tattle about silly little trifles, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, the hour's always getting late, right? You could die tomorrow. So
yeah, dude, but especially these days, like, it seems not to be any fear porn or whatever, but people are spiraling up or spiraling down, and you spiraling up, it's like you're not worried about these little silly things. And that's something I could say to people who might get locked into like churchianity and stuff. And it's like, well, I would say to you, just listen to the message of Christ. What would Jesus do in that situation? He hung out with the prostitutes allegedly, and he hung out with the dregs. And I also think he was a comedian. And I think they wrote the best stuff. Like, I'm sure he was so funny. Like, when he was flipping the tables, he was probably like, haha, the tables have turned. You know what I mean? I don't know. But, he could have just been really funny about it. And because I really feel like the church, and I was talking about this earlier on a recording I did with Davin, which when that goes out, I'll share it. And then I'll share it on this channel too. Davin from Astrology. He's awesome. Shout out to him. And we were talking about all this kind of stuff. And oh man, did I just lose my point? Oh no, what was I saying?
Astrology.
No, before that, I was talking with Davin about a subject that we were just speaking about, Jesus being funny. That's what it was.
Yes.
And so I was like, he agreed with me. He's like, I think that's true, because mainstream religion, they always want to be serious, like in church. So what if they peeled out the humor? Because I believe humor is one of the most healing things that there is.
Yes.
Dude. Healing.
Yes.
So if you're going to create this belief system for slaves, you probably got to take out certain aspects. And I think humor is one of them, because I think puns are really big, and all this green language you hear about, like, and I think that people realized, and they just were merry and jolly and had a good time. But I think all that stuff was like, nah, you got to be serious, So
the focus on being
and I could do that on stage, you know, because like look at me, I could do funny Jesus. But anyway, go ahead. I'm just excited.
Right. No, totally. But the focus on being broken in the modern church is the polarization of brokenness, you know. And if you talk to Christians, they will tell you, well, we are broken, blah blah blah. And then when you have children and just you analyze your own things in life, you see that we are broken, we are in a fallen state and being taken advantage of because of that, by, you know, things, you know, especially
don't say it
too. No, but it's consent.
We're on YouTube, dude. Now
no this it's by the boogeyman, basically, because there's a ton of different dudes that you could point the finger at, but what is your part in it? Like my dad used to worry, you know, you talk about the debt, everyone owes this many thousands of dollars. Paul from Pockets of the Future constantly talking about the debt. I always thought that was so stupid, and I never said anything to my dad, like, because the way he was so like intensely like dark about it and like worried and depressed and felt it, the weight on him. I never owed any of that money to anyone, and I always knew that I don't owe anyone shit. I don't owe whatever y'all are talking about. I wasn't around for when you did whatever the fuck you did. So I and then if you go, well, fiat is debt, blah blah blah, I get all that, but the idea is that you personally owe, as soon as you're born, this much money. I don't know. There's just I don't even know why I'm bringing this
you're
up.
like, good luck with that one, guys. Like,
yeah,
nah, I don't think so.
So there's so many like just things that don't even exist that are just running people. Like my dad died at 58. He was, you know, just locked into the end of the world for the last 20 years of his life until he died. It was the end of the world for him. And you know, but man, to be raised by someone like that, who really believes it, you know, that, and you know, that I wasn't going to live to see my 20s and all this stuff. And I believed it too. Like I believed it for, you know, the whole first part of my life. And so man, I'm not talking against scripture. There's some doctrine that says do not read scriptures if it's misleading you from the truth, or the truth has been altered, or I forget how it was put, but that's exactly what I think a lot of the English translations are of the scriptures. So I'm just saying, and then the interpretations or whatever, then the famous people that, you know, and their famous interpretations, and you know, the rapture and all this stuff going on, it like, dude, it like destroyed my family. It was a part of what destroyed my, you know, it was also my dad addicted to Vicodin, but you know, he was doing a lot of things that he didn't think mattered because it was the end. You know what I mean? So instead of saying, let's build something great. Let's count on you having grandkids. Never mind living to your 20s. Let's count on, you know, you giving me grandkids and building, and, you know, let's build something together. Like, I don't know, man. It's just like it can be damaging, you know, and I've seen it happen to a lot of people. And then if you even ask questions about it, about certain things, or, you know, they just get real accusatory and real upset about it. And I just think, like, my dad died 58 from a heart attack. Like it wasn't good for him, nor was it true. You know, it wasn't true. Obama was not the Antichrist. Like, he wasn't. Like, he might be one day.
He's just a joker. Like, he was a buffoon, but a serious one.
Random Indonesian motherfucker. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you think they're the devil, then they get all off on it. They're like, oh, he thinks I'm the devil.
Like, oh wow, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I fucking, yeah. It also,
so I like talking about this stuff, but people get real triggered and immediately call you an atheist or think you're, you know, bashing. No, it's just like, I want the truth. When I first noticed Lord in capital letters and God in capital letters, and we read, you know, the entire book. My wife and I, we went through every single day, did, you know, a few chapters from each book, spent hours a day, and over the course of like a year or something. And it was man, it was just like there was something so off about it in so many different areas where it was intentionally confusing, because other areas were written perfectly well. They were all written by different people. but these are translations. And if you look up the original Hebrew, most people think there's only Greek available. But the original Hebrew of all of these texts, even the New Testament, that they say they found in a trunk drawer of the Vatican, like recently, like in the past couple decades. And dude, just the gravy that's in there and how easy it is to understand and how much it makes sense. Like sin is dysfunction. The translation, functional is what's good, dysfunction is sin. So that's the real definition. So it's more what's not functional. It's not even accusatory, or really it can be, but it's more about what's functional. Like that's what good versus bad is, function and dysfunction. That's just, anti-religious scripture studies, dude, they go into a ton of good stuff. And then I bought my own copy of that translation they use and stuff. And it's just so interesting. Then I met, then I started listening to Dylan Sakosho, and I asked him about, the tribe of Gad. That's where God and God we trust on your bill comes from. Gad, the tribe of Gad. And Gad was the Babylonian deity for prosperity and luck, and was satanic, like basically. So, that's why we use like Yah and stuff. But then Dylan said that goes back even further. And, then people talk about Zoroastrianism. So I'm just curious.
Dude, it goes all the way to the stars, bro. It's crazy.
So interesting. Well, I got a question for you. So I'm all over the place. Sorry, but what do you think about the stars? Do you think, I know we might have talked about this. Oh yeah, we talked about this last night. But do you think it's a reflection? Remind me. Do you think it's a reflection of what's going on, or people call it like fortune telling, which it's no more than forecasting the weather, forecasting, as they say. But and I'm really all over the place. What do you think about this? What do you think about if people are against what Genesis talks about, the stars for the, wandering stars for the signs and the seasons, the firmament, all that? If anyone really hates astrology, pointing out why do they follow astrology? Because I guarantee they get up when the sun comes around, and I guarantee they probably go to bed around the time that the moon comes around. So on a level, we're all following it. It's just like you don't like the other parts that people are following. Like you don't like that there are other stars involved. It's just like weird.
No, I think that's a great question. And first of all, I would say,
what even was the question? I'm sorry. That was
don't worry. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Okay, nice. So I like talking to you.
Yeah, no, I would say that if you're somebody who is, first of all, if you're looking at somebody else's belief system and you have a problem with it, I would say, and not to be rude, maybe you should look internally, because if you see a problem externally, maybe you're insecure in your own belief system, right? And you're trying to prove it not only to this person, but to yourself also. You're trying to go through your rock hard argument. I've done this myself with other things, and even the Christianity. I was a born again Christian. I used to try to convert people when I was in 4th grade, like I was hardcore, man.
Yeah.
So I would just say that first of all, and then second of all, with and again, not to be rude, it's just that if you have to prove your belief system, like you don't have to defend the truth. The truth doesn't need a lawyer or a spokesperson.
Thank you.
Just share your truth and the truth you've learned, but you don't have to defend it.
Right.
Nah,
I'm not going to go around defending Iboga. Not that that's my religion or anything, but I know what it does, and I feel bad for people that think something ill of it, and just because that means they're so missing the point of what it is. Yeah. And man, so like, but I don't go around calling people Iboga deniers. I don't go around, defending it. It is what it is. If you don't see it, you don't see it. It's hard to understand if you haven't experienced it. But
well, it's a tool. It's like a gun. I could demonize a gun in the wrong hands. Even hammer, you could smash yourself in the face, or you could build a beautiful barn.
Yes. That's the great thing to bring up when people don't understand things like that, because those are all people that are like diehard against gun control.
Yep.
Let's get controversial. What do you think about hunting, Brandon?
I think hunting is better than getting factory meat.
Word.
I think that.
Do you think hunting in the woods is better than raising your own animals and then using them and for meat and for the fur and all that? Or do you think going into the woods, what do you think is?
I think that as long as you respect you have respect for it and it lines up with your belief system, that it's the right thing, like what you feel intuitionally. It's hard for me to say from my point of view, because I believe that everything here works on your thoughts. So I think it's possible to actually be a breatharian. So
oh yeah, are you
I don't know how it be achieved. I'm not saying I am one, but I think that if you could elevate your consciousness to a level where you actually believe that you can live on sunlight, then I think it happens, right?
Okay, but what if you have a job and then
there's all these doubts and stuff, right? And all this, so not everybody's meant to do this. Like this is something that David R. Hawkins said. He's like, if everybody was meant to achieve enlightenment, nobody'd be driving the subway. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, but you can also use that, like nobody would collect the garbage or whatever, you know, but it might not, I'm not saying it's going to be terrible, but what I mean is like,
no, you might still be able to do it. If the sun can provide the amount of calories that you need to burn, right, to achieve physical labor, and you can apply that, you know, almost like glow in the dark, soaking the sunlight up. You know,
I'm just going to say it like this. You remember when Morpheus says to Neo, and he's like, he's training him and he looks at him, he says, you think that's air you're breathing? So I think that the way that this spiritual realm functions is very similar to a simulation. That's why people call it a simulation, I'll say. That's still materialistic though. I think that people who think it's a simulation, it's because the way that human consciousness expresses itself as a whole, and civilizations build and they do these things, and you get people like archaics that could go through all this old history that's like been disappeared mostly, unless you find really old books. He can find all these patterns and he says, wow, it's playing out like it's a computer, right? But if a computer is just a manifestation of our own brain in the physical realm, it's not as advanced as our brain, but it's what we would, you know, it's our whole frame of reference. So we're going to see it as a computer, where I think it still works that way. That's why I think like when Noah parted the Red Sea, I think that's kind of a shout out to certain miracles that can happen. I feel like if you're not in fear and you're doing what you got to do, magic and miracles can happen.
Anything can happen, bro.
And that's why I think if you really are meant to, and you could get to that, and this isn't, see, when people hear about breatharians, they always get guilty, right? They're like, oh, well, I should be able to be a breatharian, and then I wouldn't have to even hurt a plant. But what I'm telling you is not a lot of people, most people are like, fuck that, right? But anyway, I don't think you should feel that guilt, because not everybody's meant to do that. But I think if you get to some certain level, like maybe like a master like Christ or whatever.
But animals aren't even on that level, and they're the programmed nature, like, you know what I mean?
Their consciousness, I believe, is below us, though. Not in a bad way. It's just they don't have free will.
Right. But doesn't that even mean they should be even more so in line, like with nature, like with what is spiritually appropriate? Do you know what I mean by that? Not that they even have a spirit. But
but I'll say this. I hear exactly what you're saying, and that's why I don't think this is for everybody in this realm, because I think this realm has to be the way it is for people to learn lessons. And as part of that, I think the animals have to do what they have to do for their consciousness to evolve. They have to understand what it's like to be consumed. They have to go through that to get to the next step, so then they could maybe become human consciousness or mankind consciousness, where we know where it's wrong to kill. Innately, we know. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, maybe they have to be consumed and hit by cars. That's why I try not to look at people's victims. And it's hard. It's easier for me because I don't have any children, you know, and I totally get that. But I always try to take myself out of the situation and just say, how is this part of God's plan, no matter what happens? Even though
100%
terrible things happen, I'm just like, I don't feel bad for these people. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I don't feel like they're victims, because I think that there's somewhere else they're going to go, and it's just kind of
exactly.
It's
not
a game,
it's not
kind
the
of,
end.
not really. Yeah. But that doesn't excuse, like, that doesn't mean I could go around then, because this is very nuanced.
And being
I could just go around and do whatever I want and treat people like shit and kill them because they're just going to come back. No,
because this is just a simmission. People can take that too far, for sure.
That's like when people talk about NPCs and stuff, you know, it's like, no. Because the next step is it's okay to kill them, and that's how they get you to war, motherfucker.
That's how they get you. So simulation theory could
not be this time.
It could be pushed by benevolent people, like trying to explain with modern terms that we know what you're trying to convey with a simple term, or it could be used for hardcore desensitization, you know, and you know, blurring the lines between VR
I'll say it like this: people can display NPC behavior, but it doesn't mean they're an NPC. Like, so I could use the term, I'm not like offended, but when they start to get you to believe that they're not really people, the next step is it's okay to murder them.
For sure.
Not today, Satan. You know, like they
the
did that
next
shit.
step is it's okay to eat
they trust me.
Yeah.
They're just trying to do it to people who look like you, because before it was about people who look different. Now it's people who think different. That's, you know,
that's hard
today,
to tell.
Satan.
Yeah.
But what were you gonna say? I think I cut you off.
I don't know. If you want to blend in, just like throw some fucking underwear over your face or whatever you got to do nowadays, and you know, if you do in a pinch, you know, like just some literally underwear. Just go like that, and everyone will be like, "Oh, he's cool, he's cool." I don't know, what were we talking about? What were we saying?
We were just ladling some major gravy. I tell you what, let's go to the chat and see what they're up to.
What are you saying, chat? What's up, Mark Rowe? That's my dude. Mark Rowe is gonna be at Flattoberfest. Y'all can meet Mark Rowe. I'm gonna get his autograph. That dude's a fucking crusher.
Oh, dude, big shout out, man. I'm glad you're digging our stuff. Yeah, it's these conversations that are fun because none of us are getting triggered and we're not trying to defend any points. We're
just inside I'm steaming, bro.
I could tell. I call. You're bluffing.
I
am. Yeah, but I think it's really great. If you guys want to check out my stuff, I put a link to my book that I have out for donation that's been out since 2021. It's called shadowworked.com. I talk about my time in the Marine Corps. I talk about my experiences around 7-Eleven being, you know, that whole incident in 2001, what that was like, being a 25-year-old man who had been in the Marines. I also talk about going through severe intimacy issues. I had definitely some kind of sex addiction going on in my life. So I talk about the flip I had in my mind with all that and how my whole worldview changed and how I'm still the same person. I'm still, you know, it's not like I became some monk or whatever. I still get all that stuff, and I have friends that are just like that who I'm still friends with or I work with a lot. So I don't, you know, I just accept it for what it is and kind of joke around about it, but I talk all about it in my book. So, and then I talk about what happened in 2020. So check that out. And yeah, what else is the chat saying?
I made Mark feel awkward too. I've been doing that to people all day.
Yeah. It says, Shannon LeGros says, I don't know, Brandon. I think they simply accept and are aligned with their purpose. Sometimes they have a higher consciousness than I do. Just what I've seen. Oh, she's talking about animals. Yeah. You know, I'm just kind of going along with what I've seen in the law of one. They could be wrong on that too. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think that animals, they don't really have free will in the way we do, but I think they are elevating in consciousness. Like, I think there are certain animals that have a higher consciousness than other ones. There's some like dogs that are just like people. Like, I've met dogs in my life that I was like, there's a person in there. Like, you could talk to them and tell them what to do, and they're just chill. They just hang out. You know, it's crazy. So
see, this is why I ask about deer too, because like, okay, so let me get you.
I think deer are like giant mice though, but anyway, go ahead.
Well, no, well, hold on. Maybe after this story, you'll have, well, I don't know, but it could just be the medium that the spirit is working through.
No, I know. I'm just
I know you are. No, I know, but this is just, but at the same time.
Did I offend you? No, I'm just kidding. How dare you?
No, but you offended hunters. They're like, I'm not eating mice, bro. But no, that makes sense what you said, because they are hunted.
I meant consciously, not they taste great. But go ahead.
100%. Well, yeah. Maybe there's a correlation. I think there is usually a physical, metaphysical correlation. We probably taste incredible.
You know, human meat is the easiest thing for us to digest. I know that fact.
That's fucking horrifying. Who told you that? What grabbler doctor told you? Horrifying Satanist?
Oh, it was some TV show that told me that. I used to watch like a lot of documentaries and stuff. Yeah.
Me too, bro. Najla did not like documentaries when we met. I was like, what? I watch documentaries, bro.
Podcasts, audio books, and documentaries.
About? Yeah.
You were gonna tell me a story about deer.
Yes. Okay. So I used to.
Oh, I had to hear this. There's no way you're gonna make me forget about that. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, this weird ass conversation. I love it. What? So like, okay, I used to come out we had train tracks and stuff where we used to stay with some family a couple of years ago when we were like super poor, and I was just, we were just trying to get on our feet barely. And so we were staying with family. Anyways, I used to come out at night to smoke. I was still smoking cigars at the time. And I would go around, go out to the back and like there was a field. There was like an apartment complex. So I would have to kind of walk kind of far because there was no smoking everywhere. But anyway, so I would go to this field and no one was around, but there would be one light far, like from the parking lot next to the field, right? And after the field, there was just woods. So I would come out to smoke and I would walk all the way down. And for several times, there were deer in this field, like waiting for me, bro. There's no one around, but I would come around the corner, silent as fuck, dude. And I looked, and it wasn't anywhere close where they would have just poked their head up at the last second, and they weren't like grazing and then just popped their head up. They were in full upright position. Excuse me, just standing there. And like I'm talking like 10 of them, sometimes maybe more, and all in this field. And this happened so often that I started anticipating it. Like it happened every night sometimes, then it wouldn't happen one night, but then it would happen like 3 nights in a row. Bro, this happened like all summer when we were there, and almost like every single night. It didn't happen when I went outside with anyone else though, or if I went out, me and Nash like this, it didn't happen. But they were all just in upright position, just staring at me as soon as I, showed up. And I was, far away from them, and they allowed me to walk close to them too. That's what was crazy. And they didn't, run away or anything. And they just looked at me until I walked away. It was really interesting. But I would like communicate with them and say hello to them, and just I would just be like, isn't creation cool? Like, this is great, huh? Like it was like real like nonsense, but it was just like kind of just vibing, like wow, this is a beautiful night. Like, thankful to the creator, all that stuff.
It's funny you said vibing, because I that's why I put my allegedly hat on. I think that because of the vibration you were at, that's what attracted them to you. Even if it was curiosity, they're just like, this guy's not like the other guys. Like, I don't sense any danger. Yeah,
that makes me feel
the same
good.
way with, dude, I have a similar story, but that's why I was laughing.
I just did my Iboga experience too, so that's cool. That's what's up. Tell me about your experience.
Yeah, so this year actually, I was hiking. So I met I DJ weddings, and usually I get to work with like some really cool, fun people. I always do. It's really great, but we don't have a lot in common. We do, but it's, like they're into pop culture and all that stuff. But I met this couple.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, what are you gonna do? It's still great. I love it. Trust me. But I had this couple who wanted me to give. The wife wanted a tarot reading, so then we became friends. I met him at a venue where they would have me come in and DJ, and they'd have all their brides come in, brides and grooms, and do the food tasting. So then they could, they do it like twice a year, and they'd always ask for me because they like me. Yes, it's so great. Such a great way to get gigs. So these people, I was just sitting back there playing a mix basically and just playing some fun songs. And they were talking to me, and they're like, so, we're not like a normal couple, we're kind of, and they were talking, and they could see I had like crystals and all this stuff, so we started talking about tarot, and I pulled a card and read it for her. And then we immediately became really good friends, and I still go hiking with them a lot. And so and I did their wedding in May. It was like amazing. And so then we were hiking one time in, I think it was June, or late May, early June. And I just gotten this Edgar Allan Poe tarot deck, and we went to the spot, and Zeralath was there too. He was in the chat earlier. Shout out to him. So it was me and Zeralath with them. And it was great because they're super bear adjacent. It might be a little differences of some things, but they're against the freaking experimental medical serum, which is, we really bonded over that too.
That's a good thing to have in common.
They're like, did everyone go crazy? And nobody they really know. Well, I think a few people, but they're more isolated as far as people that believe that, like I know tons of people who know that's a bullshit, even in my everyday life, like,
That's good.
So yeah, it's amazing, dude. So I pull out the tarot deck. We're at the spot where there's a stream, there's a waterfall, small waterfall, and she's looking at the deck, and as she does, a raven flies over us, and it's an Edgar Allan Poe deck. And
my gosh, that's amazing. That's cool.
Giant raven. And then as we're leaving, or maybe it was a big crow. I don't know. I think it was a raven though, but it was a raven. As we're leaving, we see deer, and I see deer when I go hiking at the spot a lot, but they were acting kind of strange. There was like 3 of them, and there was one that was really close to the trail, and it was just basically a really straight trail, and it's this kind of skinny patch of forest. There's like houses kind of on one side you could see sometimes, and then down maybe like a quarter of a mile there's a road, but it gets wide. It's pretty cool, but it's a really, really cool spot. They call it Indian Well. Oh, you know, Shelton.
Indian Wells. Yeah.
But I'm on like the hiking trail, which is up away from the well. So we're walking back, and the deer is like staying with us and then going ahead and waiting, and we'll walk, and then it just walks with us. And then we went down to the parking area.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to show them. We go to the normal parking area where the hiking is, then we drive to the parking area for the well, so I could show them the well.
Okay.
We come back from the well, and that big grass field there across from the parking lot, there's like 8 deer or whatever, I don't even know, just chilling, staring at us.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same kind of thing. And it happens with me with bees now, because I don't get nervous when they come around, and they kind of just chill around me. You know what I mean?
So like, this dude's chill. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's because I think somehow they could sense when we're freaking out, you know. So
like they want to connect. Like maybe connection was a thing that was much more common. You know, that's why I ask about hunting and things like that. But like you said, I agree with what you said. It's case by case basis. And I do, you know, like, not that I believe factually life eats life in this realm. That's a fact. So you have to look at it like that. If you feel hard conviction to not eat a certain type of meat or all meat, then follow that conviction. I believe, you know, 100% follow it. If your conviction is the opposite, you should do that too, because you don't know where your convictions are leading you. And have faith in, you know, the convictions the creator put in you, you know. And it could be a path that you're not psyched about going down at first, but you know, the story has an ending, you know, and it might be a beautiful ending, and it wouldn't make sense without the, you know, arduous beginning, you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%, man. I think that everybody has their own path. And if you're doing a thing, is it because it's a fad, or it's because it's what everyone's doing, or, you know, do you feel guilty? That's why you're doing it. Or is it, you know, are you doing it out of fear, or is it a feeling that's pushing you to do something or whatever, you know, because I really believe we're in this realm to experience great things. That's why once in a while, like, I don't usually drink, but once in a while I'll have like a drink with dinner, or like have a glass of wine or something, because it's like, you know, we're here to kind of enjoy this experience. I look at it more like the Taoist thing. I don't think, you know, it's like a sin, like
responsible enjoyment, right?
Yeah, like you were saying earlier, sin. What did sin really mean, you know? Like,
yeah, is it dysfunctional? You know, did you drink enough to where you got fucked up and you can't remember, and you said some shit you wouldn't have said otherwise? You know, no, it's like you had a glass of wine, had a great night. Then that's functional. So you're actually crushing.
Yeah, you know, it's, yeah, exactly. Are you resonating with the words to My Own Worst Enemy? You know, why is it my car's in the front yard? You know, like, yeah, I play that song at weddings, and everyone's screaming it, and I'm like, it's because they're all like alcoholics, probably. No, just kidding, everybody.
Dude, I used to think a lot of songs were, and a lot of people were referring to like making drug references, because when you're in that world, you start making connections that aren't necessarily there based on what you're thinking about.
Oh yeah, I could totally see that. All right, so let's see. Big shout out to Zeralath. Check out his channel. Big shout out.
I just gotta
history.
Hit the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Big shout out to Bushwhacking History in Buffalo. He's actually going to be on the show next Monday. I'm looking forward to it at around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So check that out. We're going to get into some history gravy, reset gravy. You know, but it's boots on the ground stuff. It's stuff that he's actually went and seen for himself. He touched it. So it's not like conjecture where there is, you know, we're always conjecturing and taking guesses, but there's a lot of evidence there. And I've seen him go to a lot of places, and it's really cool to see somebody go uncover all this stuff. So big shout out to him. And yeah, and if you want to get more of me, you can go to morelawsmoreproblems.com. That's my website. I have a blog there I've been doing since 2013. Let's see, I have pictures. I made memes. I have a bunch of memes on there. All the pictures on the site, well, most of them. In the older articles, I would take them from online, but in the newer articles That's all my own original photography from my trusty old S8 active phone that I've had like since 2017 or something. But anyway, yeah, check that stuff out. I've also, like I said, made memes with some of the pictures. So that's all at my website. You could get my book, which I've talked about earlier. I have a lot of really interesting shows, podcasts and stuff and videos even on this channel. Kaylee's really cool. Check out those videos. I did some with Sammy doing a reading, which is really cool. Even if you go back and look at some of the older videos, like from 2020, I interviewed a mother who her children were taken by the police because she was at an anti-lockdown rally in Australia, and she refused to be interviewed by the media, like she got hit up by like the mainstream media, and she just only went on my show. So if you want to get the true story, what happened there, that was really crazy. They tackled the father who was just bringing the kids over in a stroller across the street to check on the mom. And it was like this small, peaceful demonstration. Then he walks away to go back to the park. And when he gets across the street, the police tackled him, hemmed him up, pushed the stroller away, surrounded it. And my friend Kaylee was there, and her son were yelling at the police. And the mother of the children was with them. They made friends. So then she connected with me with them, and I did a show. Really interesting. So yeah, go check it out.
Wow.
Yeah. Fun times. I've had some interesting interactions on my show. I talked to Dr. Mikovits and Butar in like April of 2020. I was like, tip of the spear. Yeah.
Oh man, I gotta check that out.
Yeah, it was interesting. One of them got taken down. I don't think it was that one. I think I had one with Kaufman, Andy Kaufman, and
oh really?
Yeah, and Dr. Tenpenny, and also the guy from The Last Vagabond. Remember that guy?
No.
He does like reporting, kind of like news, but from a super either libertarian, anarcho kind of looking at it. So he's breaking down the government, and he followed all the stuff that was going on with COVID like to the T. I was watching him all the time. He's like pulling out all these crazy documents and stuff. But it was like really good reporting, but I'm not into that anymore. But he still kills it. And it's not like anything against him. I'm just a tarot nerd now. What am I going to say? I've always been interested more in history though. So
I
but
used
that
to
was
like
a fun
history
one.
also. I also enjoyed it. You know, I wish they were teaching us real history, but there's threads of it, you know.
Yeah, there's threads, and it's cool because if you're really smart about it, you don't even have to be mad because they taught you the propaganda. So now that you know the truth, you could take that correlation with anything they tell you, and you could say, oh, it was probably like, this is what I was saying in the beginning of 2020 when all this stuff first happened. I was even on Facebook, and I was like, listen, guys, like, I don't trust the government at all. I don't trust them so much that when they tell me to wash my hands more, I wash them less now.
Bro, that's disgusting. But what? Like, when did it become cool to trust the government, bro? That's what's crazy to me, bro. Like overnight, it got you're it used to be so uncool to be into the government, you know, like it was like you were a rebel. All the musicians, everything, like, you know, like Bright Eyes did a great song about well, they had a few great lines in the song. It's called Let's Not Shit Ourselves, I think, or Lifted. Dude, it's a great song, and it's like ABC, CBS bullshit. They give us fact or fiction, I guess an even split. And he said, and he just keeps going down, you know, the lie and, you know, the televised wars and everything, and just yeah, man, it's cool, but then, you know, we went and saw him live. He signed a record, and it said, "To James and Najla, my last two friends in the world." And so I thought that was pretty cool. But Connor, but during the show, he was like, "And fuck Trump," blah, blah, blah. He made this huge grandstand, and everyone was just like silent and kind of waiting for him to finish and just play the next song. You know, man. So the fact that he went to ABC, NBC, CBS, they're all bullshit. He was saying fake news, to, you know, 15 years later, and he's like, fuck the guy who's saying fake news. It's very interesting, you know, these evacuated people, you know, they get the magic for a little bit. I don't know if they get chosen because of astrologically they're more apt to.
I think their ego gets to them too, you know.
Melodical, yes, that too. The natural,
the power that you get
world.
At that level, dude, is like, you could tell you play a lot of mental gymnastics. Look at Eric Cartman. He's a perfect example of that. If you're a fan of South Park, Eric Cartman does that to himself all the time. He like believes his own bullshit, you know, and that's what happens when these people, unfortunately.
Yeah. And they lose the thread. And you know, and then they start covering their old music, because it just so happens when they finally lose that thread in that way, their music usually loses the thread as well, you know, in terms of new writing and stuff like that. You know, I've noticed.
They lose touch with their intuition, so that their art suffers, because their art was coming previously from their intuition
and their struggle too, right? There's no struggle.
No struggle.
It's
but
like
there's some people that could successfully navigate it. Like, look at Prince, for example. You know what I mean? Like, not that I'm a big Prince fan, but I think some people are
Prince was crushing till his last line of fentanyl, bro.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Totally.
Well, he does a song.
Look at R. Kelly. I mean, you know, no, I'm just kidding. I got jokes, everybody. All right. I'm not defending that guy. No, thank you.
Yeah, we found out about urine therapy, and everyone, they're like, oh, okay.
Listen, he was just trying to make that 13-year-old look younger.
Bro, now there's only truthers at R. Kelly events. Yeah,
I think I just made a funny joke. I don't know. What do you think? Is that too
do you think it made that she was just trying to help a girl again? She was already young, so
that's what I'm saying. Like, it makes him more of a pervert. I'm like, he's just trying to make the
actually that young. They thought if you went down, I would like it more if you were like that's why they thought she was 15 or whatever. Is this his urine? Is that pure? We're getting into dark territory, bro. But
follow me.
Actually, I don't know. We talked about vaccines for like an hour. So if you're gonna get kicked off, it's gonna be way before this mark.
To make jokes, everybody. To make jokes now.
Jokes are the best. So what? Let me get your thoughts on this. The algorithms being vibrational over actual word for word. Like some people they have a hit list for that they keep an eye out for, like, you know, Owen Benjamin, like, you know, and they'll take it down regardless. No, exactly.
We're just kidding, everybody. No.
Well, with YouTube, it's like, I know. They're like, who? Click.
Just kidding, YouTube. We didn't say that. We said 01 Benji, the movie. No, I'm just kidding. No, he's awesome.
But they're looking for him regardless of what the algorithm is. There's actual people looking for that. But smaller channels, people that don't have the eye of Sauron as, you know, locked in on them. You know, I think a lot of it is more because on the MellowDome, we talk about a ton of different shit. We say a ton of different buzzwords, but Austin has done a good job at grooming it, keeping it very high vibration, very, you know, like we're all in this together and blah, blah, blah. So, and then, you know, they won't give him the pin to get the funds that he's gotten from, you know, super chats and stuff like that, but they still allow him the ability to do it. And I do think the algorithm, it's more based on, they have an algorithm, I think, that they're testing like the sound waves compared to like rough conversations or arguments or whatever. And when you get to that vibration, it cuts it or it red flags you if regardless if you're not even cursing. If
maybe he should start a new channel based on spirituality, because I think that part of it is he might be labeled a flat earth kind of thing, you know?
Oh yeah.
So I think that's why they might be messing with them. That might be an idea for him, because he was looking for another answer. So still do the Rockfin thing, but maybe create another channel that's
we've been talking about
spirituality.
Yeah, we've been talking about different things.
That's what I'm saying, because you guys don't even get in on that division stuff, and that's what they want. So you're no use to them. You're not dividing people, you know. You're talking to truth. How dare you?
Man.
But if you're talking about woo-woo spiritual stuff, you could still sneak in like we do, you know.
Yo, totally. And you could get monetized, and then if we have you on it, you know, you can do a tarot reading, and then we'll definitely get up there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Thank you, by the way. Austin's in the chat. What's up, Austin?
Much love, Austin.
He says, love you, James, my homie. What about me, dude? No, I'm just kidding. It's my show. No.
Oh, fuck. Right.
He says he has a backup channel now. Yeah, maybe do that and focus on spirituality, and then just talk about the gravy after you say some woo-woo scary stuff, you know, like we do on the Oversharing show. But yeah, I think my plan though too is we're at like 600 subscribers, so hopefully 606. How dare us? I want to get to about 666 and then unveil the real plan. No, I want to get to I want to get to 1,000, and then I would like to try to build an audience somewhere else from that springboard. But yeah, who knows? I don't think YouTube is viable future for anybody, but I think you can use it for what you can use it for, and that's what I'm going to try to do. I don't know where yet though. I'll figure it out. There's time.
We got a lot of time. Just don't let opportunities pass you by when you know you should take them, at least.
Yeah.
Not every opportunity you should take, but the ones you know you should.
I mean,
you got to do it.
You know, you got some people together and started your own network, kind of like Owen has. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah, dude.
Even if it's just audio, because video would probably be really expensive. But after a while, you build up the audio, then you could do the video.
Or like we were talking about this morning, me and Austin, about like if you just have a private, you can have a channel where you just have private videos, and as long or unlisted or whatever, and those won't get hit. You can, like, Red Bar does his live shows through there, and whatever he says, tons of shit, you'd get banned for. But if it's private / unlisted or whatever, you just have to have the link for it. It should be okay. So if you did it from the website or embed it,
that's a great idea. Yeah, that's why I like to build communities like places like Telegram and stuff, because they're
I need to get better at that. Yeah, Telegram's pretty great for a lot of things. Yeah, and it does video
I'm gonna give you really $1 million idea, son. Maybe not $1 million, but you should start a Telegram channel for grounded extracts, and this way people could ask questions, and then people in there can answer those questions for you, or you can answer them. But if you don't get to them, other people that are like grounded extracts supporters or whatever.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
And then you could also chat and share funny memes in there.
I don't know how to do that. It's I have my own screen name, but I don't know.
This is what you do. Hit up Sharon. She is a Telegram. Oh no, I shouldn't say this on the internet. She's a Telegram master. So hit her up and just say, hey, I want to start a channel. How do I do it? Okay. And she'll probably help you do all that stuff.
Great.
Yeah, you can even make me an admin in there, or somebody like Sharon or something, because then
I'll make both y'all admins.
Haha, I have the power now. See, this is how I control my puppets. No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, totally. Because you get people in there that like to do that stuff, and then they have questions for you, and it's a little community. Alex has one. Olive Tree Bear. We have one. If you're going to get more active on Telegram, I'll get you in there. We have a Over Sharon after hours chat, which is awesome. The people in there are just like, that's the thing about the Oversharing show. We have some high class, like high elevated consciously people in there, like, and they're funny. There's some funny people in there, like Dell. He's Cody Paxton in the chat. He does voices and stuff. He'll do like an Indian voice, or like Mark Passio. He'll like do like a Mark Passio impersonation really quick. It's a really cool place. So
that's awesome.
Oh, I'm at 607 now for subscribers. Sweet.
Oh, snap.
13.
What's up, dude? I got like 90. I'm at 90 or 92 or something, which I'm crushing. And dude, I had 14 like not so long ago.
Yeah. If you start putting out like commercials, you can make funny commercials like they do in the Bears. I'll help you do it, dude.
Well, I have a lot to talk about
and you could talk about stuff too. But what I mean is, like, you could make funny commercials and just little videos,
Dude, I would love to make so much funny stuff. I would love to do clips like that. And Najal's got a lot to say too. So we could all
because I know he said he's been bugging you guys to start doing a show. And I told him I'm gonna bug him to start doing stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
I was like, haha.
We all gotta start doing it, bro. We all gotta start, I don't know, doing what we want to do, and if it's functional, if it's
because if you you could start a little community of comedy, and you could do shows, and dude, I'm telling you, it's awesome. But I digress. So we've been going now for 2 hours. I'm still pretty good. How are you doing? You doing good?
Yeah, I'm all right. I went to the bed. I peed, so I'm good.
Oh, dude, how dare you?
I had a lot of coffee.
I just pee my pants, man. I'm dedicated.
Is that what you do? Well, you just, dude, you just wear the diapers and.
No, I just listen. I'm a giant. So I just hold it. I'm like, I have extra.
Oh, you have a longer Period. Yeah,
I don't know. I can't explain it. My dad. I'll tell you this. My dad.
No, that makes sense.
My dad has 3 kidneys. That's a true story.
How many bladders does he have?
I know. That's a great question. Still one. But he's not a giant.
One.
Like I'm a giant. Well.
Oh, how tall is he?
I think around 5'11".
Oh my God, dude, that's embarrassing. No, I'm just kidding. That's like an inch taller than me.
He had some taller brothers, and I've had some really tall cousins too. So it definitely runs the family.
Yeah, I'm under 6 foot. But astrologically, it says I should have the appearance of being tall. So it's like I'm physically a liar, I guess.
Yeah, this might sound weird, but you kind of remind me of like a good Andy Dick. You know what I mean? Like
that's the worst fucking thing I've ever heard in my life.
No,
it's like the grossest.
Stay with me.
I've ever got.
Stay with me. His energy, though, I don't know. Like, so I used to be a fan of Andy Dick because I just thought he was hilarious. Like situationally, I used to follow him on one of those not TikTok, but one that was out before that, and it was really funny. He put out short clips, and he was always going places and having a good time with the staff at the hotel, and just like really funny. But he had this amazing energy, and he just uses it for different reasons. But I feel like you have that same positive energy and the same.
B-Sot said it right.
B-Sot
said, "Oof,
oof."
He wrote, "Oof."
So you're the good Andy Dick.
No, bro, don't fucking call me that.
Oh, I found a spot, everybody. I'm gonna hammer him. No,
that's everyone's spot, but no, you can call me that because that's so ridiculous. Like,
no, I what I mean is though, that's what I mean. It's just the energy. I'm not really gonna call you the good Andy Dick.
I don't want any good, bad, any type of anything related to Andy Dick energy.
Yeah, when you put it that way, it does sound pretty terrible.
Yeah. It's funny though.
Okay, how about this? He made me laugh and you make me laugh. Is that better?
No. No, I don't even want to be funny.
I gotta clip this part. This is hilarious.
No.
All right.
No, you don't.
No, yeah.
Yeah, you could.
I'm trying to give you a compliment. No, yeah.
No, I know, bro. Listen, my compliments didn't land all day, bro. I didn't say anything like that though. No, just kidding.
I look like a washed up Dane Cook. But I used to look.
You're a more symmetrical Dane Cook.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. You're like
when my face was fatter, I looked more like him. It was funny, and I didn't have facial hair. People would like come up to me like all the time. It wasn't anything. They were just like, "You look like Dane Cook," and I'm like, "Not really." But they're like, I guess they don't pay attention enough. 30% or something.
30%.
And it lines up in their fucking brains. But yeah, no, it was funny.
Yeah, that's an insult to you.
No, I thought it was funny because I used to think Dane Cook was funny. I mean,
no, it's a compliment coming from them, but
yeah. I didn't.
They knew how true and pure your soul was.
Well, no, yeah, definitely back then I was probably more aligned with Dane Cook's behavior, so it worked out. People used to also say when I was younger that I looked like Jim Carrey a little bit, which is pretty funny.
Really?
Yeah, not anymore at all, but when I was younger, it was crazy. But
it is crazy.
Yeah, because I always thought Jim Carrey was crazy and hilarious. But
did you like Jim Carrey? You like Jim Carrey growing up?
Yeah, I like the silliness of his movies, the early ones. And I really love his work on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno when he's like, all these people think we went to the moon.
Yeah.
That was like genius level comedy. Like it really was for the people who really knew that we probably didn't go. They're like, oh, he knows, but to everyone else, he's just being wacky, like.
And he might have been just being wacky. He's someone that like, he don't even know who he is, he said, or whatever. So it's like, I don't know. Do people like that even have legit, authentic opinions? Like,
well, I know he knows about the power of manifestation. So I think that he knows some of this stuff. And that's why I've talked about this too, why it's dangerous to use the quote unquote occult or whatever, because you can really, what happened? Message deleted. What happened in the chat? But anyway, I really believe that you could manifest things. And if you're doing it from the wrong point of view, or the wrong way, it's like taking acid or mushrooms or DMT when you're not ready.
Oh gosh,
it's like making the genie appears and you're like, I want to be rich, and then all of a sudden you're rich, but you're like crippled or something, or whatever.
But you gotta
you're
you gotta hook up with the genie or some shit, and you're not ready.
Yeah, you're asking for the stuff that you're not ready for, and it manifests and it becomes dangerous. So I think on a level, but also I think he's like a joker in society in that way, because he could go on and say things like that. But who knows? I mean, I don't know the real him, obviously, but I do know that Jenny McCarthy, his wife, was like anti experimental medical serums.
That's and I also what planted the seed for me with that. And then I always just put the seed away, and I was like, I'll start watering it when I have children. Literally, that's how I went about that.
Yeah, that voice is huge. Everybody knew that, and it gave him a bit of things something to think about. Yeah, I'm great. It opened the discussion, at least.
It did. I wouldn't even known any better, or that there was another side if they didn't present that. I think they have to.
Yeah.
There has to be a loophole, or not loophole. There has to be.
I think Sharon deleted somebody from the chat. She said, "Sorry, MellowDome, I bring the hammer."
I respect that. I appreciate that. A lot of people get freaked out when you ban. See, if you sometimes you can just tell. I don't know who you ban or whatever, but I don't ban anyone unless I know. I'm like, oh no. Guaranteed this person is a problem or will be a serious problem. They're not just someone asking questions or whatever.
Yeah, totally. We have a zero tolerance policy on this channel. We're like, we don't,
And then another mod will unban the person. If they're like a person that's like, we don't ban here, then why are you blue? Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's why you have a wrench. Like that.
Exactly. We just have other people in here to unban if it was a mistake, but they all know right. Listen, most people feel that way, but Sharon's not afraid to pull the trigger. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And plus, we do so much work together. She knows we're on the same level with this stuff. So yeah. Brandon, you are taller now. One of my kidneys didn't move when the body changes happened. Oh, that's interesting. But yeah, I think that I just, from not wearing that covering my face, I just popped up an inch. What can I say, right?
That's amazing.
That's what I'm gonna start telling people now. Like,
so when you get older, you're gonna go back to your normal height when you start shrinking when you're an older man.
No, I think I'm gonna just keep growing and become a giant when the vapor canopy comes. I don't know. It's possible.
I like that.
I think that vapor canopy is gonna be something nuts. But
so I think I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Either way, Jason's got 18 years to talk about it. Before he has to.
Yeah, but he doesn't seem like unless he's like a very brilliant con artist.
No, I don't think he's being disingenuous.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And I think that it's just not gonna, maybe it's not exactly what he says, but I think something's gonna happen. And I really feel like if people just don't have fear, they're gonna be guided to the right place, and 100%. They're gonna be fucking fine. Like,
and that's the case right now.
Yeah, exactly. So why wouldn't it be that way in the future?
Right. Yeah. And when things are polarized, that gets polarized as well. So you can tap into that even more so.
Exactly.
Like people have been in car accidents and stuff. If you've had near death experiences, things like that, or you just know, dude. Like we're being supervised.
If you've ever had 10 deer just stop in a field and stare at you,
you'd fucking know.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think the mystery is what makes it so beautiful, because if we knew, everybody wants to know. But I think Tolkien highlighted this beautifully in the Silmarillion with the men and how they were given the gift of death, because elves are immortal unless you kill one, but they don't die of age. So, but men, and when they die, they go to the Western Shore, so they remain in Middle Earth. But the men, they were given the gift of death by Iluvatar, who is the creator, so they could get to depart beyond this realm. They just don't know. It's a mystery, but it was always looked at as a gift. The elves would be like, dude, you get to get the hell out of here. Like, good for you, man. Like, you don't know where you're going. That's awesome, dude. We know everything. It's already set up for us. It's kind of boring, like.
No way, really. That's what, that's what a lot of people fear. I think is the boring. but I don't think it will be. I think there's so many parts. Like Iboga is really helpful for that too, because like it can unlock so many parts of your brain you realize aren't even like necessarily active usually, and there are things that you feel like should be active. So I do feel like there's filters and muffles and things placed there so we can operate here and so we can be functional here, and not just because if you're caught up in the etherical all day long with your head in the clouds, you know you're not, you don't have your feet on the ground, you're not getting things done in this physical realm, whether it's truly physical or not, whatever. That's the reality of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we're here to experience things, and if you're not paying attention, if you're just letting it all go by, you're not learning any lessons except for the hard way, and then the hard ways people perceive as suffering. So you're still going to learn, you're just going to learn in a way that you get sick or something, or yeah. But if you could see the cycles around you and the signs and the deer talking to you and the birds and the bees, man, they co-opted that. When the birds and the bees are talking to you, it's about, pay attention. They could literally save your life. If all of a sudden the birds get quiet in the woods, you're like, wait,
nah, it's about fucking, bro. How can they save your life in the woods? Tell me.
Well, if you're around, say you're somewhere where there's bears or large predators,
right?
If all of a sudden it gets quiet in the forest, that's because they know there's a predator around,
Oh.
So then if you're attuned to that, you could be like, all right, why is everything getting quiet? Like, is it another person? Does he mean to do me harm? Is it a bear?
I got you.
Is it
there's a predator afoot? There's fuckery afoot.
Yeah, exactly. So in that same way in your life, you could be tuned into the signs, because I feel it's all cycles that we go through. And then when you learn to navigate out of that cycle, you go on to the next thing, and then you learn a lesson and you move up and you get taller.
Okay. So when you move up,
I have proof.
Is that exactly? You got proof. Well, what is it synchronicities start occurring to let us know we're on the right path? Or like some people believe that they're always occurring, you're just not aware of them?
I think there's a little bit of both to that. I think it's the way the realm works and functions. And
I don't think it's happening for people that aren't on the right path, or that are filled with toxins, or that are just like bad people.
Well, it could be negative chains of events that happen to get them to rock bottom faster too,
Well, I just mean like daily synchronicities, just
I mean, they could run into a dealer or run into somebody to do bad things quicker, and that would be a synchronicity. They just wouldn't see it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's what I mean. Just the way the realm works. But I'm on board with what you're saying. I don't think the beautiful synchronicities are around them as much.
Because I definitely wasn't hearing a word said and then seeing it flash on the TV at the exact same time, like 20 times a day, or like,
like when you listen to Owen.
Yeah, like exactly that. Any podcast I'm listening to, Owen, anyone I'm listening to, dude, it's weird. It's what comes up while I'm reading or talking to Naj. It's usually me and Naj talking, about something very specific, and it's right when we say it, bam, then on TV. It's cool, dude. So I feel like we would notice that, just because I've always been, good at music and notice auditory things, patterns. So I feel like I would have noticed those type of synchronicities, and they definitely weren't happening for me until recent years.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% on board with that, because I look at it as we can't really perceive this whole realm, and I think there's like angels, people would call them, or elevated forms of beings of their consciousness that are just not physical, and they are around us. And when we start to help ourselves, they help us. When we start to go within, heal ourselves, and start to be better, they come to our aid. But I also believe that when you're doing what you're not supposed to be doing, not walking according to your dharma, your path, this is what I've been writing about actually in my new book. I think that there's forces that come to your aid in a different way, and they aid you in getting your evil plan sowed or whatever it is. But there's always a price to pay, because you're going to learn your lessons now through suffering, because since you're going opposite upstream, all these terrible things are going to happen to you, or you're going to perceive them as terrible. until you turn it around. So
what about the top who appear to be at the top, the quote unquote elite? How they like Bill Gates, people like that, like is it because they are, it's all trickery and it is more persuasion to get people to give their own consent? But how is that not alone dysfunction and sinful or whatever, and something that the realm should be against them because you're still tricking and all that deceit is still very negative and the intention is malice. So how, I mean, people usually be like, oh, well, they don't actually kill them, or they just get you to do it, blah, blah, blah. But getting you to convincing someone to do something like that, I feel like is also dirty, right? Like, so,
yeah, well,
but do they get repaid? I don't know. They do get repaid, but like when? And
I'll put it this way: look at Bill Gates. Look at him. I want you to look at.
I know you're right. You're right.
And then I want you to look at the Bears. Any of these people are crushing.
No, you're right.
You're right. Don't know.
You're right.
Who is more happy?
What I mean, I guess, is why don't they?
He's living in hell right now, dude.
I know that, but how does he still even exist? And how is he giddy about what he's doing for this long? Like he obviously gets some support by these. What I'm saying is, like, I feel like the dark realm, depending on who you are, you'll get angels to help you, or if you start going off your dharma path, you'll get, things to attack you, or push you into further trouble to get you back on the right path. But then they let these other dudes do it almost like they're employed as testers, and it's just interesting.
I would say that there's something within the consciousness of Bill Gates that has to experience doing what he's doing to learn some reason about it that I can't understand, because I'm not the creator or God, right? So this is kind of how I put it. I don't agree with it. And if something was in my vicinity, like I was saying this earlier, I was doing a big shout out to Davin. I was doing something for Nivad Astrology. Shannon. I saw Shannon on the screen. Sharon could probably put a link into his channel. Big shout out to that guy. I recorded something with him earlier and we were talking about this stuff. And I was saying how, I can't understand and perceive this because I'm only going to live for 120 years, right? So I don't know beyond the scope of thousands of years. It just doesn't make sense to me. So a God or creator would have that understanding, or somebody who put this into motion. So there is some kind of reason it's happening. And I can't question that, because then I'd be literally questioning God or Yah or the all Father. And I mean, who am I? A mere mortal, right? So because I see that, I just have to say, well, something must have happened in that line of consciousness moving through this realm where it has to be this demigod that people either hate or love. He's really in my mind, people like that are just a antenna for your attention.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah. But I also think his life, because of this, so I think he somehow is manifesting these darker powers to assist him in what he's doing. And that's why it's working out, because he's using the power of manifestation correctly, or whoever is puppeting or whatever, they're using it correctly to get these means done, because it's still according. Because if you think about that, it's voluntary. They believe that they're kind of shielding themselves from a lot of this natural law. And I don't agree with that, but
no.
But also you can look at it at a level where they're trying to wake people up, because, and I'm not saying I agree with this either, but there is a school of thought that says, if we can get this age of chaos out of the way and get all these people to learn their lessons, we're going to have the golden age after that, which I'm not saying I agree with this, but if that's their point of view, I don't see him as so much of a monster.
What if their belief alone in the fact that they're shielded because just because they believe so strongly, because they're not forcing it, they're getting you to do it. So regardless if they're wrong or not, maybe that's what it is alone. The belief manifests the protection, whether it's a dark protection or not,
Yeah, dude, 100%, man. I think that's really how this realm works.
Yeah.
And that's why people think it's a simulation or a game or something, but
beyond that, but that's just the way they know how to describe it.
And then also people say, well, why do we have to have the veil of forgetfulness, and why do we have to forget our past lives if we actually have past lives? And I would say, well, there's got to be a reason for that too, because I'm not a victim, so I don't think I'm stuck here. I think I chose to come here. So what I would have to ponder and say is that that's the only way for me to learn, because I have to have skin in the game. Because if I don't really have skin in the game, and I know after I die, I'm just going to be like, oh, that was hilarious, and
right. You
elevate to
wouldn't
the next
necessarily
level.
take it seriously. Be like, oh, I'll just start over.
I can't have free will, truly.
Yeah.
Right. I can't really have free will if I know it's all a joke. I have to have that uncertainty in there. Yeah. And that's where the struggle comes in. And that's how you learn. So anyway, yeah, it's amazing.
I love it.
Yeah.
That was epic. That was a good description.
Thank you.
Or good explanation. Yeah, it was really good. So do you even know these people are real or created to push narratives and collect consent? Yeah, 100%. 100%. We're not sure if they're even real. Yeah, exactly. But I just meant the character alone. I mean, whoever's pushing it, but clearly there's got to be someone pushing it, because there do have to be testers too. Like I'm almost at the point where I think they're employed testers, whether they know it or not. They do seem to have horrible lives, like their own personal lives. People say,
I pity them.
Oh yeah, dude, me too. What they, man, like Oprah Winfrey got mad at Faith Hill or whoever the fuck it was. It was when she brought up spirituality, Pockets of the Future said, and she just wouldn't even let her talk about it, because they are one day they are going to have to face. I do believe we have that life review.
Oh yeah.
You are going to face it, dude. You are going to face it. So Iboga does life reviews for you too, but the one at the end of your life, man, that's going to be it's going to be authentic. It's going to be real. You're not going to be able to look away. You're just, so people don't want to face that. And people treat it as a playground, benevolently or malevolently. It can go one way or the other.
Yeah, I'll just say, like, if we're having conversations, whether we think it's ethical to eat meat or not, like, we're definitely on the right conversation, because it's already a given that you don't take advantage of other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's fucking great that at least we're there. So it's that same kind of thing.
You don't steal, Mark. That's it. That's the Mark Passio. I love that
steal
breakdown, dude. Yeah, you don't steal someone's life. You don't steal someone's free will. You don't steal someone's mind. You don't steal,
their possessions.
Yeah, you don't steal their possessions. You don't steal from them. So I think that's yeah, dude. Yeah, their personal space, so that's good, dude. Everything can come back to that, and that's treating each other well. Love thy neighbor, that's why it holds weight. It's not just because the control systems push it. They push it for different reasons. The enlightenment just happens to be in there, and it makes it even more dangerous, the shit they attach to it.
Yeah, dude, 100%, man. And I think conversations like this are great, because we're talking about all this gravy and we're elevating to this vibration of truth. And I think because of the people who are watching it and the communities we're in, it's going to resonate around, and it's going to be great. You know what I'm saying? Ooh. Like, just even the whole non-division stuff, because I think people are done with that. Most of the people in our circles, they're just kind of over all that stupid.
Yeah, it's annoying. It gets annoying. It depends,
And if you could look at that also with, you could see it in the mainstream, but if you back up and look at it with the realm earth and the flat earth and the globe earth, and then, like, did Jesus really exist or not? All these things, if you can look at that, like, is that another tool of division? Am I judging this person because they don't believe that Jesus actually existed or not? And I don't even know. I'm not saying I have an opinion one way or another, but I'm just saying that's a line of division I see. And if people could apply that same thought process to that, they could say, oh, well, it doesn't matter what he thinks. It doesn't matter if he prays to a pigeon, as long as he's not hurting anybody, as long as he's not stealing, we're great.
Yeah. And you don't know what lies down the road on someone's path, or what happened before you ran into them. You just don't know. So yeah, I want to root for people. I want to root for, everyone, case by case basis, individually. Walk your path, do what's right. That's the commonality between it all. Like, just do what you're supposed to do, not with the intention of gaining, convenience or power or anything. Do what you know you're supposed to do in spite of losing convenience, in spite of losing power and things like that. Not you'll gain power, but in spite of losing material Babylonian power, do the right thing. That's my main message.
Spike Lee summed it up.
Like I was just gonna say, dude, that's my main message is Spike Lee.
Do the right thing.
Right.
It's so easy, and that's probably why he sold that movie, because it's just pure truth,
Yeah, I mean, it's a perspective.
Yeah. Well, I mean the title.
You black. Yeah.
It's like, just do it. That's why people are like, yeah, I'm gonna buy them Nikes. It's like, no, just do your dharma.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy how they use the symbolism to speak to people on an unconscious level and get them to buy a lot of these products. It's amazing,
bro.
That's what brought me into a lot of this stuff, symbolism.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and you see people use it. Man, I knew this atheist. I don't know atheist, but like I met him, and he was obviously like not a church going, like, he was a sketchy fucking dude. and I just met this. I don't know his name or anything, but I ran into him. This was years ago, and he just like locked eyes with me, and he just started talking to me, and he was like on ketamine. He was telling me all this stuff. But dude, he I'm losing the train of thought.
Train left the station.
Yes, dude. What okay, shapes and symbolism. So yes. He was wearing a hat, and he had, I noticed at the end of our conversation, he had the eye within the triangle and all that. And I was like, oh shit, you're into that? And he's like, oh dude, this shit's magic. And he pointed at it, and the look in his eye was like he had seen some shit, like he had witnessed people that use the symbol do something or whatever. But what he was implying was like, bro, this is magic. He was like, just, and he wasn't a conspiracy guy or anything. He was like, and I was like, bro, I know what kind of magic you're into, bro.
Maybe he just looked on the back of a dollar bill and he's like, wow, they're getting people to do all this stuff. No, yeah.
And I'm not saying eyeballs are evil or anything like that, but you know what I mean. It was the typical, like, the typical shit with all the fixins.
All the fixins in the gravy.
Yeah. And this dude was not like a spiritual dude in a good way.
That's funny. Well, I even used to attach myself,
in my opinion,
different symbols. Just like the symbol of the compass.
Some symbols are great.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Not the compass and square like the Freemasons, but like a star with the northeast west, the four-sided star. And and then I looked into it after, once I got into symbolism, and I'm like, oh, no wonder why I was attracted to all this stuff, because it's a message that's speaking to, and there's a part of you that understands that. And if it's on an unconscious level, that's great. But if it's being used to steer you in a different way to make you more of a materialist, then it might not be so great. But it's all a fun journey.
Case by case,
Exactly. But that's why I got into it. I saw it was just a hidden language that was out there. It's crazy. But the symbols can be used for good or bad. So even like a pentagram doesn't have to be evil. It's just a representation of something. It's just in how you read it.
And all these things appear naturally when from cymatic patterns. So they are naturally occurring shapes that then get taken by groups and then, applied to what they're doing. Shannon says, for James, how much of your food products needs for you and your family do you, I guess she was saying, do you create, grow, or raise yourselves? Just curious. My goal is to be self-sufficient as much as possible. Yeah, totally. That is the goal, 100%. We grew a lot of our food last year, but we moved locations this year. So we moved to a place where we can grow a lot more food, and we have all the seeds, everything we need to do it. And we did grow a lot of food last year, and it was good. Not nearly enough to where, what we want to do and what we can do here. So where we moved to, we have so many flower beds that we're going to use them all for food, and herbs that we use. So but we have used some of the stuff we've grown in our products. But it's mainly grown by farmers in New York. That's who we're working with now. We do have a couple people in other parts of the country, but they're all people we know and love and trust. We have some other people in other countries as well that we get things from bears too. Also, a lot of it grown in America. So people in the community, good people that we know grow things ethically, and they're not using GMO or altered seeds or anything like that. So, but yes, the goal, our butcher, we have a local butcher, not local anymore, but he's in New York. It's a awesome family farm, Mohawk Farmer Bear, beartrailbeef.com. And you can get meat where exactly where it's come from and who raised the cows and who slaughtered them. So and we get our soap from Maggie Plonsky, Maggie's Home Essential. You do, dude, it's great. That's why your hair looks so fucking dope, man.
Man, I get my
I'm telling
shampoo bar and my deodorant.
Dude, cinnamon coffee soap is great, and the shampoo bars, dude. We were washing ourselves with chemicals for like decades, dude. We didn't even know it. Oh, dude, man,
I wash my hair like once, maybe every 2 weeks or something, or week and a half. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it lasts longer, and it doesn't get gross, when you're using Axe shampoo and shit, dude. Look at how many fucking chemicals are in that's not goat milk, But yeah, so next year we're gonna grow a lot of our own the herbs that we use in our products. I was just talking to someone who sports the MellowDome, who grows a lot of the stuff that we use. So we're going to be doing some bartering. We're just getting everything set up. We just made 3 children in 3 years, grounded extracts in the last 2 years. So we're getting everything set up. We did grow our own food last year, but it's when you move, a lot of things get put on hold. But
totally.
Next year, for sure.
I think you're an amazing testament to the bear community also.
Thanks, man.
Because it really showcases how a community could support a family and also be mutually beneficial to people. It's really amazing. It is I love it, dude, especially because you sent a bunch of stuff to Owen and he really liked it. So he understood that it wasn't just some snake oil or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. I always wanted Owen to try it because I was like, that dude, he would put it to good use. You know what I mean? We all listen to him. So, I'm really grateful that he, tried it. And then, I got tons of shout outs, dude. It's so cool, man. Being on Crow, I'm so grateful. And then the community, that's been building and is still building, and it's just cool to see the direction it's going. And now the bears are buying actual property in another state and Missouri, and just dude, it's just so much going on. Flattoberfest, there's so much going on. And I don't want to be like that movie Click and fast forward, but I really am anticipating. I'm really excited for what 20 years is going to look like.
Yeah, that's why I'm not worried about all the resets and stuff, because we're going to be like the chosen people, but it's just because of our behavior. And if you're going to reset a society and you had something, wouldn't it be it gets so far one way that you just have to fucking reset it? Because it's it's not going to be a place to learn anymore as much. Because also, I think when enough people elevate to a consciousness, it's going to have to happen, but certain people will never be able to, it kind of gets ahead of itself. So certain people will never be able to accept it or whatever. So I think, again, this is kind of dark, but maybe when those people go away, they recycle back into a family of a crusher, and they come out as a baby after they learn their lessons in the other side. They come back as a baby and their dad has a bear name, what? Think about that existence and growing up,
And it's do we only learn lessons here? I like it. So I like where your head's at.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe on the other side, I think there's different things that happen to different people and their levels of consciousness. But I think one thing that's possible is you move into a realm where, and maybe this is all the same realm. Maybe you don't even move out of it, in the sky. Maybe you just transform into a different entity that people can't see, And
right. I like
because
that.
of that, you can maybe help people, or if you're in the negative path, you can help them, because these people, I think, also move up that are doing so according to the law of one, which is really interesting. They say that there's different levels of consciousness, right? And in this level of consciousness, we experience free will, and you can move up, but you can move up the light path or the dark path to like two other levels of consciousness, where then it all comes together, kind of, right? It's a even. So, but to move up on the dark path, you have to be like 95% negative. Like you have to be really, really bad. So that's why I think right now there's one person behind all this, probably somehow, and they're the one who's going to send up, right? I think that's maybe how it works somehow. And it's like, it reminds me of Star Wars. There's always one pupil and one master, and it's a lot like that too, because you kind of have to betray your master to move up. So anyway, it's not. But when I look at that, I think that when you move up to the next realm, no matter what side you go, you can influence, or not next realm, sorry, next level of consciousness. Maybe you do stay in this realm and you get to influence and help, but you don't really have free will in that way. You're just always serving the truth or whatever, or, people aligned with the truth.
But isn't that what we're trying to do right
Yeah,
now?
I mean,
But
I'm
we
not
keep
saying it's
getting
bad.
pulled the other way by our own desires and our just
Yeah.
our nature here. Like that's what a lot of us are trying to achieve. But I understand that it is still a little scary to think about. But I think it's gonna be so great, dude.
Yeah.
I
Or you
think
might get recycled back in here to be somebody who's really high level consciousness to kind of push people along. I think that's possible too. I think there's some kind of choice involved, because you still
yes,
learn lessons that way. Because I feel like
consent.
where I'll just say this, right? I feel like where our consciousness is headed, the next level is to become something where we need to learn these lessons so we could hold that power that we're going to have. I know it might sound a little crazy, but
No, it's like Dojo Earth kind of. I love that concept.
yeah, I think we're kind of moving up to
Moving
like
on
a
up.
yeah, like a maybe some kind of consciousness that's all one, and we are the creator, and we just don't realize it. We just been split in these little aspects.
I've heard that. I've heard
So we're
that.
not exactly God, but we're more like a character or aspect of that. So when we get back to that level, we all have to go through our lessons so we can all agree to be the truth and what's right and all that stuff. And then yeah. But I think there's even like, so when they say that there's a dark path, I think that's because it all has to work itself out. So on different levels, to affect this realm, they need entities that are of higher consciousness to help those people do negative things till they finally learn it or finally get it.
Mm.
And in that way, even if it's not true, it's just it's a stance of non-victimhood. I'm not a victim now because of that. I'm not locked in some prison that I don't
Yes.
understand. It's
Yes.
none of that stuff, and
Yes.
maybe I'm wrong, but whatever.
You're
At
not
least
seeing the point in what you've been through by being a victim. You're not seeing the purpose of what you've been through.
exactly.
If you claim to be a victim because of it,
Yeah, dude. That's
especially if you're trying to achieve virtue because of it.
yeah. Yeah, dude. There's victims and volunteers.
I love it, yo. I love that. Yeah. Who Fortune?
Yeah.
Is your name?
Yeah. Fortune's awesome. I liked his recent episode about education. That was
Yes.
mind
Stellar.
blowing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I knew some of that, but I didn't know all of that. Like I like John Taylor Gatto, and I've listened to him and read a couple of his books.
Oh yeah?
Hey, do you know who that is?
No.
He was a New York City school teacher in the 80s, 70s, and 80s. And he won Teacher of the Year 3 years in a row from like 87 to 90 or something like that. And then his third year, he retired and he wrote a book slamming the school system basically, and talking about how school comes from the Prussian school system, and the way they teach people is not how they teach them in elite boarding schools. But he would teach his kids the way they taught him in elite boarding schools. So whether he was in like the Upper West Side with rich kids or in Harlem with the poor kids, these kids were getting stuff done, even in New York City, and they were going on to become very successful.
Nice.
So he proved that, and then he wrote a book, and he did this interview. He died recently, but he did an interview with Richard Grove before he died. What is his channel's name? Maybe if you just put in Richard Grove on YouTube, it'll probably come up.
Okay.
But you can look up Richard Grove, John Taylor Gatto, and it's amazing to hear him talk about if you're interested, especially if you like that Fortune episode.
I found him.
Oh, dude, you will love John Taylor Gatto. He was like the OG.
No, I found Richard Grove.
Oh, okay, cool. It's probably from 2018 or something, but if you just put in John Taylor Gatto, it's
how do you spell Gatto?
Gatto.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody?
Oh, I got it.
Yeah. Anyone that's listening, check those interviews out. They were
John Taylor Gatto TV.
Mind blowing.
18,000 subscribers.
He's such a funny dude too. Like he's a funny old guy, which is
big dude, white hair. Okay.
Because he wasn't like a victim. You know what I'm saying? He was calling it out, but he wasn't. He was saying, but look.
I love it, dude.
Yeah, that's probably why I resonated with him so well.
Mm-hmm.
And he's from New York.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's something about East Coast people. Bittersweet.
Yeah, I used to hang out in New York City all the time, especially when I did comedy. We were there. It was an awesome spot, but I haven't been there since 2019, I don't think.
Yeah, me and I used to go to concerts.
Bridges or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, I ended up in man, I have a lot of stories about New York. We'll talk about next time about New York City. I have some really crazy stories about New York City from when I was a youngster skipping school, taking the train with my friends to New York City, go buy comic books, and this dude ended up talking to us. And I guess this dude ended up being like a fucking serial killer or something, because we ended up getting followed by police for like blocks, and we thought this dude was crazy, but the cops like pulled us aside. They pulled their badges out, dude, put them in our face, and it's like, oh, that's a scam. No, this dude was trying to get away from it. It's a whole long story, but I was like 16 years old. I've got crazy stories from
I mean, sometimes NYPD does their job,
this was a weird situation.
Usually they're thugs though.
I'll explain it to you, and you can give me, your opinion.
My friend got thrown in lockup in somewhere in New York City because he was at JFK coming in, and he had absinthe, and he didn't know that it was like illegal. And instead of saying it had a little bit of THC, whatever the size was, they said he had that much liquid THC on him.
THC? It wasn't THC
or whatever's in absinthe.
I don't know what's in. I can't remember. Go on. I get what you're saying.
But it has something. I forget. Somebody in the chat probably knows.
Some psychedelic component,
which isn't even that bad. Like, and he was in Amsterdam. He didn't know it was illegal, so he brought it back. But they said whatever it was, instead of just saying it was a jug of like, beer, they said it was like grain alcohol or whatever, according to the law. So he had to get a lawyer and all this shit. Yeah, he has crazy stories.
Damn, just for absinthe. I mean, there is different types of absinthe.
He's like a nice looking, like preppy white kid. It's not even like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
always
not disrespectful. He's like super nice. Not a wise ass,
They're trying to get money out of him, dude. That's what it is. They put him through the system because they know his daddy will afford a lawyer. As long as the lawyer's involved, there's money.
They were wrong. But yeah, no, I knew it.
Bro, we could talk about court, police. We could talk about arrest. We could talk about so many different stories and court experiences I've had. I could talk a lot.
I could tell a funny story about my brothers really quick. He was in so he sold weed his whole life, and he got busted once because somebody in the area was also selling heroin. So like they said he had heroin too, and they knocked in the door, but he had a bunch of weed, so he got in some trouble for that. And then because of that record, he didn't do, I don't think he did any time for that, but something happened recently with one of my cousins to that event. This was like in 98, but I think it was before that. He was with my cousin who was been in and out of jail his whole life, and he's big dude too. And my cousin, they were at a gas station, and my brother was there, and some dude comes up to him and he said something, and my cousin just like punched him and almost killed him.
Whoa.
So because he's fucking nut, like he's just he's cool now, but he, and
okay.
So he my brother ended up taking a rap for it because my cousin's like, I'm gonna go back to jail. So my brother took that, and then there was some other assault thing. Oh, he stole.
Yo, I took the rap for my brother once. Don't do that shit.
No.
Don't get arrested for other people, or don't get tickets for other people. It's not a good idea.
Yeah, I got an even funnier, crazier story about that but I'll finish this one real quick. So anyway, he goes to jail for a year, and people in there had like 10 years for what he did. So he had a really good lawyer, you know.
Cool.
Plus, it wasn't really what he did. So I would go visit him every other week. I think we could go. I drive, it was like an hour or something away. I would drive up there with my parents. And like sometimes I would, or at least once, I went into the bathroom because the way it wasn't like maximum security, it was like full contact, but he sat across at a table. But he got checked on the way in and out. But I went to the bathroom panels and I put like cigarettes up there for him. Cause not that he smoked, but it's like fucking gold in there, you know, allegedly.
Oh, yeah, it's money.
I can't even really remember if I did it or not, if I made it up in my head, but I'm pretty sure I did. 2001, you know, like
that's funny as shit. In 20 years, you'll be saying it was cocaine.
Yeah. Yo, I fucking, he was in maximum lockup and I had to make out with him and pretend he was my.
Oh my God, bro. You had to mouth him the cocaine. Totally. People do that shit.
The life story that they make of me one day, right?
Yo, people do that shit. Yeah, these are inspired by true events.
The slander that they try to do to people. Right. It's so funny.
Oh, like, yeah, dude. Cement them in.
Think about how they'll portray him in like 10 years or whatever. Owen Benjamin. They'll be like, he was the most evil person. You know?
I don't know. Things are falling apart at the seams.
Yeah, well, I'll say if this current system stayed in, it would, but I think you're right. I think that system's going to fall apart.
Well, at the very least, the pendulum's swinging back with political correctness. So at the very least, I think, you know,
it's going to get nuts, dude. Speaking of pendulum swing, I don't know if you've heard anything.
He might be considered tame one day, how far, you know, depending on how far it goes. That's what he said. He's like, I'm going to be the one being like, don't hit the Jews.
yeah, exactly. So, this guy's lame. We want to hit the Jews. We want people.
Right. They're calling him a fucking, he must be.
Shill.
Yeah, he's a shill.
Oh, that shit today was so funny. By the way, I don't know if you get a chance to watch tomorrow, but hopefully I sent a letter and I have tracking on it. And it was supposed to get there like late Saturday, but I didn't check the tracking all weekend. And I was watching today and he's like, I got no letter. So I'm like, what the hell? So I checked the tracking and it was going to get there today. So he always goes in the morning, but I have a letter. And I have a drawing and I have a donation for the campground. I have a tip for the bard.
Nice.
And I'm going to ask him to come on the Oversharing show too.
Oh shit. He probably will.
I think he will too. You know, I keep saying because I see Shannon in the chat and then Sharon. That's all right. I'm not dating her so I can get her name wrong. It's easy. So Sharon, anyway, she's like my sister, everybody. It's funny because we just recorded with Pat Life too. And that episode is going to be coming out in a couple weeks. And he asked, he's like, are you guys married? Like he wasn't sure because he didn't know us at all. And sometimes people think that they don't really know us that we might be dating, but we became great friends and like brother and sister. And Sharon's actually now dating a man that she met for the first time at Bear Fest, but she's known him for almost 2 years through the Bears.
That's great.
Friend. And then they met and there were sparks that flew and there was like a unicorn. No, I'm just kidding.
Like real sparks.
Must be nice. No, but yeah, she talks about it on the show. She had a dream and she had all these signs. There was like crickets. So she really thought she was going to meet somebody and she was doing things to manifest it. And
astrologically, that's supposed to be the case right now. Just saying.
Oh, maybe I'll have some luck then. Let me check my Tinder. Hang on now. So
keep swiping, bruh.
Keep swiping. Oh. So listen, crazier things have happened now. So she met a guy and where was I going? Owen, right on the show.
Yeah.
No, is that what I was saying? I don't remember. But anyway,
I don't fucking know.
We're chilling on the Oversharing show. We
yeah, that's what you're saying.
We lose our trains of thoughts, but yeah, we're like brother and sister. That's what I was saying. So yeah, we have some really good guests coming up. And I know I brought it up for a reason, but that's all right. It'll come back to me. Sharon, what was I talking about? Where are you? You're supposed to be here to tell me.
Passed out.
Yeah, we absolutely make our own choices, Shannon. You tell her, Sharon. But yeah, I'm really excited about all that stuff, especially if Owen comes on, because I want to talk to him about Realm Earth, you know, and be like, listen, and tell him that idea about materialism, because if he gets that and he could spread that message to even more people, I think, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care if he even credits me if he just says it a million times, you know, be like, yes, like, guys, you're just material, because that's even a way to come at Catholics who are global birthers that are like intellectuals. Well, don't you think you're just being a materialist? Oh, you know.
Yeah, dude, I'm all about it. I love that. I think that's tactical moves, bro. I'm all about tactical moves.
Yeah, it's like chess, it's logical chess. That's what I like to do. Like, one thing I always say to people, and I bring this up because I haven't said it in a while, but if I'm talking to somebody who believes in God, but they're despairing about what's going on in the world or whatever, I'll be like, well, don't you think everything's kind of perfect? And they're like, how dare you? You're crazy. What about all this evil stuff? And I'm like, all right, well, I'm not the one who created it. I'm just saying there's a creator. We agree. He's got, like, I'll say, I did this to a guy, an old guy. I used to have a mohawk and this crazy haircut. So I'd go to this barbershop that was kind of in the ghetto, but not really, but they were awesome there. Like, they loved me. I was like the resident white guy that they'd ask all the questions because I was the only one that was like goofy or whatever. It was funny, but they were so funny in there, man. But anyway, one time there was a guy in there, this old black guy, who's just bitching about the state of the world and all this stuff, and I said to him, I'm like, hey, let me ask you something, like, out of nowhere. I'm not even talking, I'm just getting my haircut. I'm like, do you believe in God? He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, you believe God's perfect, right? Yeah. And he created everything. Yeah. Well, then everything's perfect. And he's like, and I'm like, you're just arguing with God now, not me. I'm just making an observation. And he's like, crazy white boy. And he just walked out and everybody started laughing. It was so funny.
Well, a lot of times, like, you'll find that people will be like, oh, it must be nice that your life is so perfect. Like, if you start talking about how perfect everything is and how great the world is, they're like, oh, you haven't been through shit in your life then, and you were raised with a silver spoon in your mouth. That's the insight they receive from that. Typically, like, a lot of the times, that's what happens.
And I'm like, I went to bed hungry a couple times. Like, I had it pretty good. I'm not going to complain. Like, for the circumstances.
No, it's okay. You can have it good, but I mean, just the fact that they make that the focus.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not saying you can't, but I'm just saying if people say that to me, I'm like, no, dude. Like, I had it crazy. I grew up under a crack rock. Like,
I love that. I love when you say that. I think that's brilliant, dude.
Yeah, it's like
that line. I heard that the other night. I was like, that's what's up. And I thought parallel thinking, bro.
Yeah.
I legit thought about this same joke, right? But I think you'd already said it, like, probably a bunch of times. But by the time I heard you say it, I thought I was thinking of the same thing. How funny it would be to say that.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. I think I might start saying that on stage too.
You should. That's a good. Because
I'll be like, my dad was a weed dealer, I would talk about that, and they'd come to shows and they think it was funny. So it's a way into that. Like, when I was 5, and this wasn't my parents, this wasn't on them, because they just kind of left me with my cousins who were older, because my dad had he was from a family of 8 kids and he was the second youngest. So some of his brothers and sisters had kids that were the same age as like my uncle, so we'd be left in charge. They'd be like babysitting us. And I just remember when I was like 5, like garbage bags full of weed, and we're just breaking it up and taking the seeds out. And I collected all the seeds and I went outside and planted them because they called it grass. So I'm like, oh, I'll just go plant the grass. Like, nice. And they're just,
that's awesome.
So trust me, I've seen some things.
That's awesome, dude. Did they ever sprout?
Right. So and that's what I tell people. I'm like, I've been around this shit my whole life. So I know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about cannabis or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, and I haven't even smoked my whole life. Like, I quit when I was 18 and I didn't start again until my late 30s. So take that.
I think that's all meant to be, like you said, case by case basis, man. It's
yeah, it's a tool. It's a fucking tool, dude.
Like, it is a tool. It can exactly, it can go one way or the other.
Playing Halo and eating Cheetos,
right?
Or it could help you, or whatever, to study the fucking Bhagavad Gita. You know what I'm saying? Like,
or it could just help you sleep, or help people with appetite issues,
or your pain.
Yeah, tons of stuff. I make excellent muscle rub out of it. You can do a lot with that plant, and it grows so quickly that it's such a better source for paper. I don't know. I think we were talking about that. Like, it's such a better source of material in general, because how, when you chop a field down, it'll grow much. It'll grow back.
Oh yeah,
in a season.
Super sustainable.
Right. That's the word. Right.
It's a freaking literal weed. Like.
Right. There you go. Grows like a weed. Yeah.
Should like a dandelion, dude. A dandelion's fucking magic. It's like,
yeah,
we have all these things in our realm that grow. Think about Mario. He'd eat that one plant and he could shoot fireballs. Like, what do you think they're trying to tell you? Like,
Oh man, dude, we live in a magical realm. We live in like an Alice in Wonderland type situation. They quantify everything and make it seem so boring and so able to be figured out. And the mystery's gone. Like you said, the mystery is what makes it great, you know. And being able to quantify everything and have the answers to everything takes away the mystery from everything. So, you know, it destroys the magic of it, you know, and we can't let them do that. That was, I take that back. In our own minds, don't let I don't let them do that, because
I know what you meant.
Yeah, dude, I don't let, and when I say them, I mean just like dysfunction, just dark forces or thoughts that you don't, you know, consent to, or you know, people or media trying to influence you know, your buying habits. Even a lot of the times it comes down to just that. They're just trying to get in your pocket, you know, or your pants, but a lot of times it's just your pocket, you know. So and it just happens to be a dark, you know, a dark method.
Yeah, and I think it all starts from the time we're kids, and that's why I think all these kids being raised and homeschooled and stuff is going to have a great effect, at least for this community. It's really going to bond. Like, think of the next generations of this stuff, you know, like
Brandon, they won't be propagandized for the first 18 or 21 years of their life. Think about that.
I've talked to do you know Sarcastic Warlock?
No.
So he does a lot of stuff with like James True and stuff right now, and he's been on my show actually.
Yeah.
But I've met him in real life. I met him through the Bears.
Oh, cool.
And I met him in real life when I went out to Sedona. We stopped at his house, and he has a son, Devin, that is just like 7 or 8, and the kid is like, he gave me a reading that blew my mind, first of all, and he never really did anything with tarot, but he wanted to play video games, and everybody that was with us kept playing. We would take turns, and I was like, I'm like, I just can't handle this right now. Like, I can't play video games. So I'm like, why don't you give me a reading? And he gave me a reading, and it was so funny. He was like, I see that, you know, what did he say? He said something about like, I see all these retards in your life.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Or something like that. And he's like, they're gonna realize that you're not the retarded one, or something like that. And I died laughing. I'm like, I fucking love the retard word because of what it really means, and it's just a funny insult. But yeah, the kid is crushing. So when I see that, it's like, and then like Camera Bear's kids and Zach's kids, Green Thumb Bear, or his son, you know, shout out to what's her bear name? She lives in Connecticut. Adrian is her name, but anyway, she has an amazing son. And like, dude, it's crazy. Like, I'm meeting all these people, and I think that's really the future. Just think about when they get together, and the possibilities will be endless, no matter
that's what I meant when I said 20 years from now, you know.
Even if the internet goes away and all this crazy stuff, or electricity, like the bonds we're making, I think are going to be tight, you know, at least in our communities. And I think we'll have a way. I think a way will be provided for us to kind of still communicate somehow, you know. So it's going to be very exciting, dude. And even if they just say the worst case scenario happens and everything breaks down, and it's like Walking Dead, they'll be the leaders of that next society.
Bro, no matter what, we're going to be crushing. No matter what
I'm saying.
Yeah.
All case scenarios. That's why I'm not worried. It's like a choose your own adventure.
And most like exact 100%, dude. And I love that. And it's, you know, they a lot of the times they want to keep the system going, I think, more than anything, because that's their conveniences, their blah, 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 you know, and they're not on the same page as each other. The people that have power, whatever here, that pull the strings here, make decisions about the shit we don't necessarily like, you know. I'm losing my train. The train's just going off the tracks, bro.
Well, we have been at it for 3 hours almost, so you know.
Dude, it's been a fucking blast. Austin's like, I'm doing a stream after the show.
Oh, he's gonna do one? Oh shit.
Dude, he's a monster with
Look, tell him to come in right now. What's he doing? I'll send him a link.
I don't know. My phone died, so I can't see the chat.
Unless I don't want to keep you on all night. I don't know what you're
Yeah, I gotta get going pretty soon.
All right. Oh, that's cool. Then we could take off. Yeah, I get it.
Dude, I've been having a blast. I don't think I've done a podcast this long with anyone.
That's
I had
awesome,
a blast talking to you, dude.
You said you haven't done one solo? Is that what you said?
No, in general with anyone. Like I haven't done a podcast this long, like 3 hours.
Oh, this long. Oh,
yeah.
right. Oh, sorry. I misheard.
No, it's okay. I'm starting to like muddle my words, muddy my words or something.
That's awesome though, dude. That's why I wanted to get you on, because I feel like on a one-on-one situation, that's why I also had Austin on one-on-one, because you could communicate a lot more information, and they're very interesting when they go that way. And it's also interesting when you have multiple guests. That's why I like to have Sharon, because it's a different dynamic.
Totally different,
but that's
what we were talking about, playing shows like to a ton of people or 5 people at a house show. It's like the energy is more, you're able to like define it more and like focus in on it more, and if you vibe with it, it's like it's more electric than a ton of different people with a ton of different energy, and it's just like you don't know where to focus, or your energy doesn't know where to focus, maybe.
Exactly. And the thing with the 2 people on a show versus 3, it's like a trinity of ideas, so it's a whole different magical thing, It's really cool.
Totally. Yeah,
you have a total different point of view that's there picking out stuff. And especially because we were talking about like earlier, I don't know if Sharon heard this, but I was saying, Sharon, that the reason this show is so great is because Sharon doesn't put up with any nonsense, or she just calls everything out right when it, or not like we're going to try to woke rape somebody or whatever. But if she hears an idea's nonsense out there or whatever, she's immediately like, nope, that's not right. Like she's not worried about the dogma or fitting in or any of that stuff.
Correct. Yeah. She has that in common with Najla a lot. Yeah. That trait. That's what's up.
Yeah, we got to get her on the Oversharing show. Actually,
she loves it. She loves you guys.
We've been like freaking crazy. And then Sharon's in a whirlwind love situation. Must be nice. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, we'll be
fucking nice.
Totally,
it is nice, bro. It is nice. I'm gonna start training my children to be like
comedians. No, I'm just kidding.
Wait, comedians? You said?
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
No. What did you say?
Yeah, I said to be comedians.
Is that what you really said?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That'd be awesome, dude.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, look at that idea. You're like, I never thought about that. Right?
That would be great. No, I forget what I was gonna say. I was gonna.
You want to train your children to be.
I know. I can't remember. So now I won't train them to be that way, I guess.
Oh, Jesus. Ruined your whole life.
No, yo, you just fucked everything up for me, bro.
Not if they become comedians. That'll fucking.
Then they'll be making fun of me.
They better be like, Uncle Brandon, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for calling him Andy Dick that one time.
Oh, yeah.
He can't ever live it down. Be like, go to your room. Shut up, Andy Dick. That would totally destroy all my authority.
But if it was funny, think about the greater good. You got to think about the kids, the greater good. No,
that's all it's about, bro.
Yeah. If they could be funny, dude, listen, if I ever get to procreate in this realm, I just hope he's funny.
My children are funny, bro. You'll know right away. They come right out fully packaged. Nature or nurture. Yeah, nurture affects the nature, but nature definitely gives you a fully produced, fully formed packaged personality, like right from day one. It's interesting.
Oh yeah, and what I was saying before about laughter being so healing, think of a baby laughing. I mean,
it's amazing.
Intoxicating. It stops a room.
Yeah,
it's like Monster Inc., right? We can make them cry, or we can make them laugh. Yeah, I mean, even though that was pretty fucking dark, but concept's good.
Right. It's a truth. It's a truth for sure.
Yeah, it's a truth bomb. Well, I guess I could let you run, sir.
Dude, I had so much fun talking to you, man.
Yeah, dude, I had a great time. Where can people find you again?
GroundedExtracts.com and MellowDome.live or MellowDome on the YouTubes. GroundedExtracts.com. And Linktree/GroundedExtracts, all that stuff.
Awesome. And you could look forward for his show coming out soon.
Yeah, sure. We'll see. Who knows? We don't know what's going on. We'll definitely be having more media.
And look for the new Grounded Extracts Telegram channel that Sharon will help you build, or will help you get going. That's interesting. Yeah. And you could check out my stuff by going to morelawsmoreproblems.com. click on the oversharing tab. There's also a ton of other stuff. If you have some free time you want to check out, I write, I make memes. Check all that out. I have a book, shadowwork.com. But I would say mainly check out the Oversharing Show. Come every Thursday at 8:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the premieres of our show. We usually record them in advance and then premiere them. Sometimes they'll go live. We went live once, but we'll probably do it again. But yeah, check those out. Really interesting conversations. And we look forward to having some pretty guests. We already have some pretty good guests booked that people would recognize their name, but I don't want to spill the beans.
Oh, shit.
But we're shooting for other bigger names too. So, and not that really matters, but it's more about trying to share our level of vibration with them because they have a larger audience. So then maybe they could share that level with them. You know, that's kind of how we look at it. Cause we like to have our niche little crowd, you know, we'll take the people that get it, but we don't have to have like hundreds of thousands of views. You know, we're humble. I think that if we did get hundreds of thousands of views, the world would be crazy. I mean, I'd be excited, but anywho, thank you again for coming on. And I better end this before I ramble too much. And
it's almost 11:11. It's 1 minute away. So
we'll wait for that then. Perfect. Thank you guys. Thank you, chat, so much. Big shout out to you guys. Big shout out to Carrie. I just saw her in there. Big shout out to Sharon, of course. And we'll see you later. 11:11.
Peace.
Oh, that's crazy.